There was issues with board docs today. I printed out 6 copies of the full agenda, so if we had to go to paper, I have them.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I have it.
That happened in Kansas.
But it's good to have some.
Doesn't sound familiar.
That happened in Kansas. There's a paper that
What's the
burned in
first
the middle
name?
school.
Oh, no, different, the ones in
Oh, that's the
We
acronym?
have
Yeah,
4.
I don't recall.
Strange to see an
But you
article
know,
that
Courtney,
was
Of course,
I
I
thought that was something that happened.
yeah, she's gonna help us, I think, with the birthday bags.
Good. You love Courtney. You're gonna love her.
Yeah, we're trying to get a meet right. I have a
Seems
Google
like they would have made that
Calendar.
some other way too.
Have you done those? 6
Professional development.
Good.
8C. That's travel club.
Going right now.
There's a ticket report. If you can report, I'm not gonna report.
Wait, it's in 4B? It's not in the
The Robin will do it.
I agree. I'll
Say it loud enough when it happens. Robin can do it.
We've done too bad.
works, because I just got with the most check-ins in, right?
I tried to get my brother. He's giving me the no chance. He's clearly started.
No, Marcus at the Nashville conference.
Let me know when you're ready.
Usually rainy weather, but they have good weather this couple of days anyway.
Hold on, let me bring up the,
I did, thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling to order the May 14th, 2024 Southeastern Regional School Committee meeting. Guests can follow votes using the link to Southeastern School Committee page or watch live on our Facebook page. We are also recording this meeting. Just ask that everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's stand for a moment of silence. You may be seated. First up on our agenda is our student representatives report, and Brittany. Welcome, Brittany.
Greetings to all. Welcome to May, a month of blooming flowers, warm sunshine, and the promise of new beginnings. Join us as we embrace the beauty and vitality of May, embracing its moments of growth, gratitude, and inspiration. The drama club at our school is buzzing with excitement as they prepare for their upcoming production of Mamma Mia on May 16th, 17th, and 18th at 6:30 in the SPAC. The auditorium echoes with the harmonious melodies of Ava's timeless hits as the talented cast rehearses tirelessly, infusing each scene with infectious energy and passion. From the electrifying dance numbers to the heartfelt moments of love and friendship, this stage comes alive with vibrant colors and dynamic performances. With colorful costumes, dazzling lights, and sets that transport the audience to the idyllic Greek island of Kalikari, Mamma Mia promises to be a spectacle that will leave the audiences dancing in the aisles and singing along after the curtains close. As the school year draws to a close, anticipation mounts for the STEP team's highly anticipated recital on May 23rd, 2024, coinciding with senior night. The rhythmic beat of stomping feet and synchronizes claps reverberates through the gymnasiums as the STEP team perfects their intricate routines, blending elements of tradition with innovative choreography. With every precise moment, they weave a captivating narrative of unity, resilience, and cultural pride. Senior night adds an extra layer of significance as graduating members showcase their dedication and talent one last time, leaving an indelible mark on the audience's hearts. This recital promises to be a celebration of talent and the enduring spirit of the STEP team. The anticipation is high as the class of 2026 and class of 2027 joins forces to host their spring dance on May 10th in this high school gym. This year's event promises to be enchanting and with the captivating masquerade theme, setting the stage on unforgettable evening. Students eagerly prepare their masks and finery, ready to immerse themselves in an atmosphere of mystery and allure. With music filling the air and the gym transformed into a scene of elegance, the spring dance is sure to be a highlight of the school year for all who attend. Our medical assisting pinning ceremony is May 10th in the SPAC, and the dental assisting pinning ceremony is May 9th in the SPAC. Congratulations to all of our medical assisting and dental assisting students. Our students shined bright at the annual Skills USA State Leadership and Skills Conference. We had a total of 43 medalists and 1 state officer, ranging from leadership competitions to skills competitions. The following students obtained a gold medal heading to represent the state of Massachusetts for the national conference. Ann Chiara, Tegan Bassett, Dominique Pierre, Georgiana Soriana Phillips, Morgan McDevitt, Nicholas McGaldy, and Kimberly Matthew. We also had following students place in silver: Paige Platt, Brittany Valdez, Melissa Duarte, AJ Butler, Maeve Cady, Nylia Lindsay, Ethan Simoes, Hennessy Mendez, Devin Hogan, Tiana Diaz, Juliana LaChance, Caitlin Dion, Abigail Brown, Carly Pierre, Wenwu Okoye, and Eleanor DeLeo. And lastly, we had the following students place in bronze: Analia Nunes, Jaylana Devereaux, Mars James, Javensly DeHady, Chelsea Jean, Abigail Jeffers, Eliana De Silva Soares, Chloe Lugo Staley, Tanish Toma, Ludiana Pires, Ty Reedy, Leo Garardi, Taylor Lindquist, and Xavier Carrion. I would like to congratulate everyone who placed and everyone who competed at the conference. Skills USA always has a tough competition, so your hard work and dedication to represent our schools at the Skills USA never goes unnoticed. I would also like to announce our very own Lauren McPherson, who won the votes of the delegates and will hold a spot in the Massachusetts 2024 and 2025 Skills USA office. We are so proud of you, Lauren, and are so excited to see what you can accomplish. With our last month of school, our seniors also have a pretty busy schedule this month, from events ranging from senior dress and college career clothing, senior signing days, senior award nights, and many more. Their senior sign-out will be on May 30th, and their prom will be held May 30th at the Lake Pavilion in Foxborough. This is a very bittersweet moment for myself, as this is my last meeting as the student representative on the school committee. I am deeply thankful for the opportunities to serve on the school committee entrusted with the responsibility by the students' votes. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the members of the school committee for entrusting me with the role of the student representative for 2023 and 2024 school year. Participating in the school committee meetings each month have been invaluable learning experience, providing me with insights and knowledge that will endure long in the future. While sitting in and listening to the school committee meetings every month, I have learned numerous things that will stay with me throughout the rest of my life. It has reinforced the significance of advocacy and active engagement in shaping positive change for students, educators, and families alike. Overall, my time on the school committee has provided invaluable lessons on leadership, governance, and civic responsibility that will undoubtedly serve me well in the future. I extend a special thank you to Mrs. Gaze for her unwavering belief in me and her countless acts of support. Our conversations about empowering women in a male-dominated world and advocating for increased congressional engagement with our school marked just the beginning of our relationship. Her efforts have not only facilitated connections with individuals like Congressman Jake Auchincloss and other legislative members, but also led to opportunities beyond my imagination, such as giving tours to esteemed representatives. Thank you for believing in me while others laughed and judged me for the career path that I aspire to be. Mrs. Gay's steadfast support of my aspirations will forever hold a special place in my heart. And finally, I would like to express my gratitude to Principal Mrs. Weckesser and Superintendent Mrs. McClendon, two remarkable and resilient women who have been instrumental in guiding me through my senior year. Their unwavering support and encouragement have been invaluable as I navigate this significant role. Without their guidance and belief in me, I wouldn't have been able to excel in this position as much as I have. Thank you.
Brittany, I want to thank you. You have always provided us with such extensive report, so detailed, and it really helped us kind of be up to speed with what's going on in the high school, so I want to thank you for that. you know, this might be your last school committee meeting with us, but this is really the beginning for you. You are going to do wonderful things, and I do hope that you come back and visit us. And, you know, you have taught me things, and it's been incredible to see you grow over this past year, and it's just been an honor to know you. And please let us know what's going on in your life in the future. We want to be a part of it and see how you're growing and moving forward in your life. So we're so excited for you and your opportunity at Northeastern. It's really, really exciting, and just can't wait to see all you're going to accomplish in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Principal Weckesser, could you tell us a little bit about how the rep is selected for the next year?
Right, so the junior class officer usually runs the election. It's the juniors that we take up. So Mr. Tripp has reached out. Normally, the principal will interview all the candidates. So I believe Ms. McLennan is going to step into that role, and we're going to run elections in June.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you.
And normally, similar to what I did, and that's why there's a pause right now, is I met with Brittany before the school year and explained the process, explained the dynamics, scheduled the calendar events for when our reports were due, and all of that. And I was hoping that the new person will be onboarded in time to be able to do that.
Okay, thanks for the information here. Of course.
Brittany, I know Principal Weckesser and I could not be more thrilled that you were following in our footsteps and going to our alma mater at Northeastern. And I know you're going to be an amazing Husky who leaves an incredible mark on that university in the same way that you have left an incredible mark here. And I'm deeply humbled by your contributions to our school and to this committee. So thank you. Okay.
Moving on to announcements.
Public announcements. So I just wanted to take a moment to introduce you to somebody who joined our team at the beginning of this school year and has really worked hard as an unsung hero to help us become a better school district. And he's done that by really helping us dig into our data and making our data easier for us to access, easier for us to understand and analyze. He has worked very, very closely with Principal Weckesser on building out data dashboards, one of which I'm going to show you a little bit later on in the presentation. I really just can't say enough good things about He jumps in to help out at lunchtime when we're down people and need some support at lunch duty. Just really has jumped in and been a positive contributor to our culture and to our work. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jeff Tavares. Our data analyst, and I asked him to come tonight just so that you could put a face with a name and see the person who's behind a lot of the work that we rely on to be successful as administrators and teachers here at the school. So thank you, Jeff, for being here.
Thank you so much for your hard work. We hear about all the work that you do, and it's finally nice to see you in person and put a face to that name. And I just appreciate all your efforts with working with a lot of data and figuring out how to best report that. And I know that's so invaluable for all of us. And so we really appreciate your efforts and for your commitment to the school and being able to step in where needed. So thank you.
Yeah, Deb created an acronym glossary for him because
Could the rest of us?
Yes,
You already did. I created it for the school committee.
he's talking about. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Moving on to
All
conference,
right, conferences, conventions, and meetings. One thing that is not listed here and that I do want to draw your attention to for the school committee is on May the 22nd is our senior award night. And I believe, is it 6 or 6:30, Principal Weckesser?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. So we would love to have as many of you there as possible. because that is a wonderful event
In the gym.
in the gym.
It's another opportunity to recognize Brittany as well in her service to us as a school committee member.
That is correct. Okay, and of course, June 5th is graduation, June 6th is the rain day.
Let's hope for good weather.
That's right.
All right, moving on to news articles.
So there's a number of articles there for you to take a look at your leisure. All right, and next up, science fair.
That's right. So we have a science fair presentation.
Correct. So I'd like to introduce Heather Stoddard.
Thank you, Superintendent McCartney. I prepared what I was going to say, so I'm glad I did. There was a lot of great things that following you today is making it especially difficult, so I'm glad I have it written down. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to introduce the students here to present to you tonight. And before I continue, I would like to take a moment to express my sincerest gratitude for the professional opportunity you afforded me. It was with great enthusiasm and appreciation that I reflect on the chance to attend the Ecological Society of America Regional Conference, and this committee made that possible. So I wanted to thank you for that. The excitement of witnessing my students accomplish what they have as a result of being the hardworking, risk-taking, resilient students here at Southeastern in our Natural Life Sciences program is a highlight of my teaching career. Skyla and Fanny have always stood out in our program. They have engaged in lessons here on campus, and they have managed to create a portfolio of excellence through engaging in opportunities that we have available to all our students here on Southeastern's campus. They have been in deeper learning, AP classes, including science and literature. They have attended early college classes and Project Lead the Way classes. These young scientists have followed their passion and began their Massasoit Community College STEM internship co-op, and all of these endeavors, what they have done here on campus and at Massasoit, have led them to be here tonight with us to present their research to you. And it's without further ado, I give you Fanny Benitez and Skyla Sturdivant, Southeastern graduating class of 2024.
Good evening. My name is Fanny Benitez.
I'm Skyla Sturdivant, and we're both seniors in the Natural and Life Sciences shop. Last year, in April of our junior year of school, we were given the opportunity to go on co-op at Massasoit Community College and join the Native Pollinator Research Program. In this program, we monitor the native bee population through collection methods, various collection methods, and we use this to reflect if urbanization is affecting the bee community. Every year in our internship, interns are given the opportunity to present our data at the Ecological Society of America conference, which was extended to us late summer of last year, which we then presented this April under the title, Are Bee Foraging Behaviors Changing the Urban Ecosystem?
Yeah, so the Ecological Society of America is a professional organization consisting of ecologists. Every year, all scientists, which also includes students, are given the opportunity to present their scientific findings. So when we first joined the internship, one of the first things that we learned was to sample bees through our two collection methods. The first one, hand traps, which are cups, and we fill them with water and soap. And the bees are attracted to the blue, white, and yellow colors, and they drown. Oh yeah. We kill the plants for the good time. Yeah. Then we also have soup netting, which consists of soup netting net back and forth to catch high-flying bees. And with the data that we collect, we use it as a representation of the bee community.
When given this opportunity last year, we decided to start brainstorming potential ideas that our research could fit into. And the one that we landed on was pan-trap colors, if different bees will have different preferences for different colors, or even if we find them more in sweetnet or than pan-trap colors, which then led us to begin preparing for the science fair at our school, which we then presented under what's the buzz on bee pan-trap preference at our school science fair. We did win second place, and we did go on to the Region 5 Science Fair, where we did get honorable mentions. However, when we decided to begin preparing for the Ecological Society of America, we did want to make it a lot more professional and up our game to present in front of other ecologists, as we would be the only high schoolers in attendance. These would all be post-grad, in the middle of their bachelor's degrees, and even some in their PhD degrees. So we wanted to look deeper into our topic and see what else we could pull from it, which we then realized that our pan-traps are made to represent the floral resources, which could then link what we have found to bee foraging behaviors, which just means what they'll feed on. If there's a change in what we'll find in pan-trap colors to changing from one pan-trap color to another, even changing from being found in pan-trap colors to being found in sweetnet, could represent a change in what they're feeding on. So we decided to delve deeper into this. We added another year of data. We included statistical analysis to determine if the trends we were seeing were pure coincidence or if they had if we had concrete data behind it. And we decided to change our title to better focus on the foraging behavior aspect, changing it to our bee foraging behaviors changing the urban ecosystem. With this poster, we did go on to present at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Conference for the Ecological Society of America from April 5th to April 7th at the Kutztown University.
Yeah, so I will briefly explain to you what some of our findings were. These two figures show you the same data, just in two different ways. The first one shows you an absolute value, and the second one shows you the relative bee abundance. And for this graphs, we use Agricultura bee. Agricultura bee is a generalist bee, meaning that they don't have a preference as to where their food comes from. You can see that in our beginning of our study, which is 2016, we predominantly find them in pan-trap colors. But as the years go on, we start finding more and more in soup netting. You can see that in 2021, there's a huge increase of this bee, but with this increase came an increase in soup netting, which suggests to us that something in the environment is causing this bee to go from pan-trap colors to soup netting. We might not know what they're doing in their environment, but this indicates to us that there's a change and that something is happening within the bee community. Yeah, so through our process, we gain valuable research experience that most people don't get until their college year of high school, college, junior, or even graduate programs. And this is proven by the fact that we were the only high schoolers in this conference, whereas to everyone else was undergraduate or even with their PhD. So we showed great growth from the start of the process to the end of the process because we learned writing skills as well as presentation skills. And with this skills and experience that I gained from this, I plan to use it in my biotechnology degree at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences.
I plan to attend Massasoit Community College in the fall. To continue the internship, I want to gain more experience and I want to utilize the opportunities given there. I do want to continue this project during my time there while I'm preparing to transfer to a four-year school and complete my bachelor's degree. There are many factors that could play into the results that we gathered, and I'd like to look further into them and possibly present again the data at another conference. We'd like to thank our shop teachers, Ms. Stoddard, Mr. Walsh, for helping us not only realize the opportunities we were given, but also realize how much we could do. I know Ms. Stoddard always was there to help us, let us practice presenting or give us feedback on our presentations. We would also like to thank our program leader, the professor at Massasoit, Dr. Bengtson, There was a lot of development from late summer last year to even now with our project, and he helped us look deeper into topics that we didn't have the brain power to delve deeper into. And as well, letting us practice, helping us learn statistical analysis to get our better results. We would like to thank our chemistry teacher, Mrs. Manigan, for sponsoring us at the Region 5 Science Fair, and all previous research interns that helped cultivate data from 2016 to even now.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I do. So I'd like to know, well, first of all, thank you so much for coming here and presenting on your work. I love to hear what students are up to, and this is just fascinating stuff. So I wanted to know from the both of you, what was your proudest moment kind of going through this whole process, and then kind of what was the scariest part of it all, besides the bees dying and all that and the cup?
It was, for me, it was definitely like figuring out how to make the graphs, because I'm not really good at math. So once I figured that out, I was like, oh wait, I get it. I know why I'm doing this, I know how to do it, and I know how to get the graphs. And also presenting too, I was like, wow, I'm capable more of like, that I believe, because at the beginning of this process, I was like, I'm only in high school, I can't do this, even though people in college are doing this, so I can't. But I proved myself that I could do it.
You absolutely can.
I think my proudest moment was actually presenting it, because we had been working on it for months, and it had went through a lot of trial and error, and there were some points where we were really stressed out trying to learn new topics and new concepts that we hadn't even thought about before. So it was definitely nice to wrap it all up, get our points across that we had spent so much time practicing and analyzing over and over again to make sure we were getting the right understanding from our data. It was nice to see it all conceptualized for other people to see.
Any questions?
I want to take a minute, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Mr. Walsh, the other teacher in our Natural and Life Sciences program, who's here this evening to support his students and has been a wonderful addition to our school this year as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, so I guess depending on the version of the agenda that you have, I may be moving up 8C or I may not be, but what we are going to be doing is we will be having the travel club presentation and proposal next.
All right, so do you want me to play the video first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right, so I am playing the video from the travel club trip. Hang on, let me I gotta turn the volume
our videographer, and put all that together. He told me, he sent me an email last night saying it was one of the hardest things to put together because he has so much footage. He was like struggling really what to put in and what not to put in. So that was his interpretation of our trip. Just to kind of jog your memories a little bit, we spent 8 days in Greece, 4 of which were on a cruise to almost all of the islands on our itinerary. We didn't get to Santorini because of weather, but we did Mykonos, we did Rhodes, we did Crete, we went to Turkey, and we spent a little time in Kushadasi, and we did Ephesus there, and then we came back to Athens and then went to Delphi to finish our trip. So we were there for 8 days. There were 35 students, 2 of which who are here to kind of give you their favorite part, memory, what it did for them. So Ilma Acker and Hennessy Mendez. Hennessy will go first because you're the senior.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ms. Villa, for introducing me. My name is Hennessy Mendez. I'm a senior in the cosmetology program. So my experience was a little bit different with this trip because I was really going back and forth on whether I should go to the trip or I shouldn't go to the trip. I was like, here's all my money, and then I was like, no, give it back. Because I was like, oh, like, I don't know if it's gonna be worth it, like, and then I was just like, no, like, I have to do it. It's a once in a lifetime experience, and I was just like, okay, we're getting it done. My favorite part of the trip, besides like all the culture and everything, was making new connections with students that I would not have made connections with outside of the trip. So there's 35 of you, you like all tend to just huddle up and just talk and get together, and like of course you're gonna have your little cliques, but at the end of the day you're jumping around from group to group to people, and you're just meeting people in different grades. Like since I'm a senior, I don't know many juniors because we're not on the same cycle. So meeting juniors that I wouldn't have been able to meet was like amazing and like incredible. My favorite part of the trip, like Greece-wise, was our Greek night. That's the night that we all really started just connecting. It was our second night, the first night there? Second night there. The first night, everyone was just trying to get to know each other, and then that night's where it's hit. We were dancing and throwing clay plates on the floor and screaming "Opa," and everybody was just like having a great time and was very present in the moment. I barely saw anyone like on their phones or like complaining that they didn't want to be there because they were just so present in the moment, and it was just like amazing, appreciating the culture and just seeing something that you would not see, like, if ever. So yeah.
Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Yoma, and I'm from medical assistant. As you can see, I just come from my co-op job because I know we had a meeting at 6 o'clock, and I got the scholarship from school, and I got some issue on my passport and everything, like before the trip, but the visa that I didn't get it, but at the end I got the visa and I went there, and that was a great experience that I had with everyone, and I know that so like the languages, the Greek languages, in my medical terminology, that lot of the terminology that come from Greek, and then I was very happy that I was there and then able to know people, and that was my first trip without my family and with a lot of friends and everyone. I was very excited, and I love the Greek night. That was my favorite part because of the culture, dance, music. I was so happy that I was there and then able to enjoy with everyone. And I went to Turkey. That I loved there too. And after that, so we went in the cruise for 4 days that was really nice because we had like a lot of activities in the cruise too, and we went to different islands to see like a lot of places and everything. And then we went to Mykonos. I love being there. They have like a lot of people in there because it's like tourist place kind of. And then we got to see all the people and went to the beach, to swimming and everything. That was very nice. And I want to thank Ms. Miller to give me the opportunity to meet everyone there. Thank you guys.
So on that note, 2026. I tell these kids every year that this is my shop. This travel club is my shop. So, you know, shop teachers get that special connection with their students that academic teachers don't always get a chance to because we're like a revolving door every day. So that this type of trip, as Hennessy mentioned, you know, night 2, it's, you know, I know who's not feeling good, I know who's sad, I know who's homesick, I know who's having a really great time, I know who's gonna cry in a minute. And everybody really gets connected super fast, which is why I continue to do this, because it's been such a rewarding experience for me, because this is my shop. This is my chance to connect with students outside of the classroom and doing some things that maybe they would never get to do on their own. So I came home and immediately got working on the 2026 trip in order to give students the longest amount of time to be able to pay monthly for these trips. It ends up giving more students the opportunity to be able to afford it. So the faster that we can get the itinerary going, the longer students have to be able to pay for it. So the process that I've used so far is I basically make a list of all of the countries that ACIS, which is the company that we've used the last 2 years, visits. And then this year it's the freshmen and the sophomores who were voting, because these guys will be gone by the time 2026 rolls around. And I take the top 7 or 8 places that they put down, and then I try and fit in an itinerary from each continent, the best that I can with the information that I have, and then I add a few to the very top. I should have taken out France and Italy because we have just went there last year, but overwhelmingly France and Italy won again. So what I did was I took a look at some different itineraries that we could really include some different places, because Greece was one country. Japan next year is one country. So we haven't done a kind of a smorgasbord of countries in a while. So I put a couple of those on there, and they vote again for their final itinerary, and I give them a link to the itinerary so they can they see exactly what they're voting for. They know the price, well, kind of. The 2026 prices aren't out yet. We are one of the few schools that does this early enough that we're kind of so far ahead of the game that we don't have all the prices. So I do have 2025 prices that'll tend to stick around the same for 2026. But so what they ended up choosing was the London, Paris, and Rome tour, which is 2 nights in London, 2 nights in Paris, 2 nights in Lucerne. We're switching Florence for Venice because we've done Florence twice and we've only done Venice once. So we're gonna do Venice. We do get to hit Assisi, and then we do 2 nights in Rome. And a few things that we are going to get to do. In London, we're gonna see a show in the West End. In Paris, we're gonna do all the regular Paris stuff. Someday I'm gonna make it to Peru. I swear. We'll do all the Paris stuff, and then we do get to take the high-speed train underneath the English Channel, which I haven't done yet. So that's cool. Then we take a high-speed train from Paris to Lucerne. We get to go to the Ferrari Museum, And we're doing a chocolate making class there, and then we'll go to Venice and we'll do glass blowing and I believe painting. It's not on this specific itinerary because I'm kind of making my own itinerary. And then we'll go to Rome and we'll do all the Rome stuff, but we're adding a pizza making class to the Rome nights. And then after 12 days, we fly home. So it's a big trip. We're gonna do same old April vacation. And that's the trip for 2026 if you so choose to approve.
I think they wanna go.
Yeah, sorry. We wanna go.
So I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So the first is, we're talking about 12 days, so
Yep.
that means that there is going to be some school missed. Are they going to be counted as excused absences?
So usually it's counted as a field trip
Okay.
For cultural experience.
Gotcha.
Focused on learning
Yeah.
a lot of the things that we're
Totally.
doing.
Just wanted to double check
Yeah.
that. And then you said that you had the 2025 kind of approximate rate.
Yeah,
What
so
are we looking at?
We're looking at about 58, 57.
And then when you divide it out, like to go, then how much do families pay per month approximately?
So it divides equally because they don't charge you to break it up into monthly payments. So it's from when the family signs up, it would be divided equally until March before we go. And that's not the only option either. They can choose to do it in large chunks if they want to. They can choose to have it bi-weekly or monthly payments. They can do, if they don't choose the automatic like monthly or bi-weekly payment, it just has to be paid for by December 1st, 2025. So that they can choose whichever way they want to do it if they do choose that option.
Are we choosing the scholarship again on this trip?
So I have chosen the scholarship the last couple of years. I don't have a problem if
I
everybody
didn't know if
wants
that's
to
something
get
that
involved.
we have to vote on or not, or kind of how that works, so.
So it is based on some certain criteria. Students do have to submit an essay, and then they're forwarded to me, and I. That's the way we've done. I don't know if that's the way the previous superintendent did it. So.
Yeah, it's kind of how it's worked in the past.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, of course.
How many students generally?
So the last two trips have been 35. Japan right now is at 44. I do have 4 students that are waiting to be approved by admin to join us. So it's a lot. It's a big trip.
What would the total cost per student be?
For this one,
For 25, say.
For 2025 to Japan,
Yeah.
I think it was just under $6 grand.
Okay.
Yeah, so we approved that last year, so I've had students paying for that for a year already.
It was like, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of the kids, and I've been seeing it more and more and more, even as large as the groups are getting, there's more and more students who are paying for it on their own.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, quite a few students paid for it all by themselves.
Ms. Miller, can you talk about who's eligible to go?
Yes. So we do a GPA poll, so you have to have a 2.5 GPA. And then we have students register with the school first. So they don't start paying anything until they fill out a form. It goes to Shanna, and they look at attendance, behavior, and it's going to be more closely monitored than it was in the past, just from year to year, because we are extending it a lot further because the prices are getting more and more expensive. So to be able to monitor, if you're signing up as a freshman, to go your junior year, to keep a close watch on what's happening as they go, but it's also a great motivator for students to keep them kind of in check, because we make any mistakes,
Right.
that there are things that are costly. So
There are expenses.
Yes. Yeah, so, and then once they are approved, I get the okay, I send the student a specific link, and through that link, they would then sign up with the company and start making payments or, but the reason we went specifically with this company was because they offer an insurance plan that they can cancel up until 4 days before we go for any reason. So it doesn't have to be medical, yes, yeah. So outside of the cost of the insurance itself, you would get a complete and total refund because the company we dealt with during COVID, it was disappointing. So this,
Enough said.
yes, this company has been above par in comparison. So we have very much enjoyed the switch, and you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
In this sense.
Any further questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a cap on how many students you can take? Because I imagine with buses, you
Yes.
don't want to have incomplete buses and you don't want
So I was actually surprised because with our previous company, once we moved to a second bus, basically we would have to pay for all the empty seats in the bus. So it wasn't worth it to go with a second bus unless we could fill it.
Right.
This company is not that way. So if we need 2 buses and we just spread out in 2 buses because we're, 10 over or 15 over, it's just, we spread out between those 2 buses. So
That's
yeah,
good.
so there's no additional cost to move it. At some point, for me at least, there's going to be a check off, but every time I put like a cap on it, I'm like, yeah, but if like 2 more kids want to go, it's like, what's 2 more kids? And then 2 more want to go. And it actually has been, I have a really good team of people that I've been able to kind of swap through that are really great at what they do and come with me. So it's really kind of made it the more the merrier for students, which has been great. Say no to anybody thus far because I have such a great supportive system here that really want to keep the program going and understand that it's work and it's not a free trip. It's not a vacation.
The school committee could chaperone.
That should be the motion.
How many chaperones are needed for a trip like that?
The way that the company works is that for every 6 students, they pay for a chaperone. We have in the past, the school has very generously donated an extra chaperone, and then Holly and I chatted. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to say
It's too late now.
She has also volunteered to have another administrator come as well. Because Shanna came with me this year, and it was absolutely wonderful getting to know her. And there's that level, like the kids get their like friendship level, but then it's also really nice for the adults in that situation to also kind of find that camaraderie. And with Shanna being her first year, I did not know her very well, and it was really, really great to get to know her, and she and I worked really well together. And she worked well with everybody. Everybody worked well together. It was a really good team for the group that we had. So I was very pleased.
So next year for Japan, there's a very large number of students. It's a very different culture. It's a very long way from the U.S. And so I am sending 2 administrators. And the thing we worry about is, goodness forbid a student gets injured and has to be in the hospital, and somebody needs to stay with that person while the rest of the group moves on. We want to make sure we have at least 1 extra person so that if you have to move on, there's still enough chaperones. There are still enough chaperones for everyone. And again, just being that far away and with that many students, it's worth 1 extra chaperone for us to do.
And you can feel the difference too. We had a student who was ill and not feeling well, so bonus for the boat because we were on and off it and we weren't traveling between hotels. We were able to kind of rotate who stayed behind with the poor girl who wasn't feeling well, but you could feel it when we were down a chaperone. You could feel the difference. So with 44 to 48 of them, having a couple extra would be great.
We don't need any adults. We need adults. All right, so
Yep,
Any
any,
other questions?
any further questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve is it to approve the trip?
Yes.
To approve the trip for 2026.
Second.
Alright, any further discussion? If not, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you. And, feel free at this point, we know that it's a long day for you all, so you can, feel free to leave the meeting. All right,
Talk about where our retreat's gonna be now?
I know, right? All right, so we're moving on to 4B and communications.
So I just wanted to let you know, and Pat may mention this in her report as well, that we were awarded a $1.1 million Career Technical Initiative grant. And this is part of our continued work to support unemployed and underemployed adults in our area. And it allows us to provide training in culinary arts and welding at no cost to the students who are enrolled. In fact, we actually paid them some training stipends that can help offset transportation costs and things like that. So, yes, Pat.
Added machine tool this time.
And we added machine tool this time.
Yay.
So,
Thank you.
so it's a great, they're great programs. They're-
Selfish reasons.
They're 250 to 300 hour programs. They're enough to get people into the workforce and get them started. And it's, so kudos to Pat and her team who have really done a good job with these programs.
Yeah, congratulations, that's awesome. That's great. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. And I'll entertain a motion for that.
Move to approve the consent agenda
Without objection?
without objection.
Very nice. So moved, let's,
Still learning.
yes. So, I do want to acknowledge the donation of 2 CVT transmissions and 1 4-cylinder box short block engine for the automotive program from Subaru of New England of Norwood, Mass. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to the financial report and the treasurer's cash report, and Karen.
Well, I don't think this will be as exciting as Greece, but I'll do the best I can.
If there's $5,800 in there for me.
So this is the report as of March 31st. First page is the summary of the financial position through March, cash receipts, expenses, and the cash balance. Cash flow report is the next page, which mine didn't seem to print right, but that ends up with a cash balance. I believe it's about $14,467,000. The gross pay summary report is on the next page through all the payrolls through March 23rd, which is 20 payrolls. There's 6 left after that, for a total of 17.8 million. And the cash reconciliation report looks pretty good. Most of the variances are the outstanding checks in the operating accounts. And then we have the budget to actual, and all the assessments that were due have been paid for March, and we're actually starting to get the ones for the final quarter coming in now too, so things look good. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I can.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to accept the treasurer's cash report.
Second.
Right, any further discussion? If not, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you. Next up is the Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Administration's report.
So Mark is at Professional Development Conference. So when we look at the appropriated budget for this year, just if we go to the end of the report, we'll see that we have just over 8% of our budget funding remaining for this year. So we are in good shape to get to the end of the year. The revolving accounts, again, there's nothing alarming there, and I think as Mark has mentioned, when you see this, there looks like a negative in the TI, it's because that's just being carried differently than the, it's being carried, those expenditures are being carried in individual accounts. In addition to that, are there any questions about that?
Moving on to May 2024 offsets.
All right. So this time of year, we do start to move some money around. We may have budget line items that are overspent, while we have other ones that we didn't use as much money as we had planned. We also always carry money in to be allocated line, so that when we get towards the end of the year and we need to move things around a little bit, that we can do that. So these are our offsets for this month. Right, those do require a vote.
That's right. Any questions for Holly on the offsets? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
It's very quiet tonight.
Yes.
Make an emotion, give it some turn, and come down the line.
I mean, it's written right there what you say.
Yeah.
Move to approve the transfer funds as detailed in the May 2024 budget offset sheet included in the May school committee package.
Thank you, Tony.
So,
Second.
For me to read that, do I need to borrow your glasses?
Any further discussion? If not, let's bring it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it 7-0. Thank you. Moving on to the ratification of payroll warrants. So I'll entertain a motion for that.
Move to approve the 3 payroll warrants listed.
Second. All right. Any further discussion? If not, let's bring it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? So that's 6-0-1. One recusal.
Can I ask a,
Yes.
I thought we approved the consent agenda already.
Yes, we did. It's accounts payable. We have to break out the payroll
Oh, we're
warrants
breaking it out.
because,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
And let me ask another question
Sure.
while we're on this subject. Full disclosure. So
Yeah.
let me just, I already know the answer, but I know we're in a public meeting, so I'm gonna bring this up. So I think I approved my reimbursement check in the last round.
In the AP warrants?
I think so. Maybe not this one, but the last school committee meeting?
What's the date of your check, Tony? The one
Oh,
you picked up
I'm
today?
gonna ask you.
Because typically what happens is they're.
Like, we're doing
yeah.
April and May now.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's this one. So I just wanna, there was a ruling from the, ethics commission.
Yes.
So I wanna make sure.
The last couple times we pulled them out.
Yeah, but I think I think it slipped by.
Yeah, but we'll double check on that.
So full disclosure,
Yes.
I may have done this in error
Okay.
when I was listening.
Yep, well, we'll look into that.
Oh, what did I do with the check?
Cashed
Because Deb told me not to lose
Not to
it.
lose
She told me that.
Okay, moving on.
It may be a moot point if you can't find it.
That's right.
So do we need the date or we don't care?
Well, if the date is one of the dates listed here, then you can modify your vote.
April 25th?
Yeah, so that's the ones we did just earlier in the consent agenda for
So
April.
that was just in the consent agenda, so can we have the record reflect that Mr. Branch received a reimbursement for mileage, I assume? Mileage and expenses?
It was mileage.
Now, do you still need to do that if I have that
There
you
is a
made a
public
public
disclosure.
disclosure in there?
But he can't vote on it still, correct? So,
But we
They
did
haven't
without
passed.
objection. We did it without
Without
objection.
Yeah, we did it without
I
objection.
think it's fine, so,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. But thank you. We'll-
yeah, thanks for.
Yeah.
No.
So do all of those need to come out now?
We're doing great.
Do all of them need to come out?
We just need, if there's something in there that one of the school, that is money going to one of the school committee members,
Yeah.
then we should identify it and they should,
He should
abstain.
not vote,
Yeah.
so
Cannot vote.
it should be 6-0.
Yeah.
For
Okay,
accounts
so
payable.
I will continue to put the disclosure in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yes.
So the vote would be
Record, yeah.
6-0-1
Okay.
recusal.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So now we're at old business and the STEM building update.
Ooh, yes.
Good news.
So, fantastic news. You know, when we received our general bids, we were hoping to see bids that came in at $3.5 million. Because we have $2.8 million in grant funding for construction. We knew that through the magic of our accounting that we could probably come up with an additional $700,000 to get to 3.5. Our low bid came in at $2.84 million.
Yes.
So it was worth it for us to go back out to bid.
It was a good decision, I admit.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm glad we did. I did talk to the state, and they were fine with us doing the whole grant in 1 year. And so we did send a notice of intent to award the contract to Construction Dynamics toward the end of last week. We have received their performance and payment bonds and their certificate of insurance, and so our next move will be finalizing a contract.
Excellent.
They are hoping that they can start mobilizing around the 3rd week of June. So around the same time that the students are leaving, they're going to be coming in. So tomorrow we're meeting with our, having a virtual meeting with our architects and and our vocational supervisors, so they can start looking at the drawings, so that we can get some of the materials lists together, so we can start purchasing the materials lists that materials that our students will need to do the interior work. So I think you're gonna start to see things moving very quickly. I'll be reaching out to the members of the building committee, because we're probably gonna wanna establish a weekly meeting from this point now. They're hoping that, you know, even if we have some weather, whatever, we should be done with construction by April. Maybe even February, but just depending on how the winter goes. So, so it's looking good. So that's very exciting news. Yeah.
I want to thank everybody on the committee for getting this to where it is. I mean, there were some really difficult discussions through this whole process, and you know, here we are on the other side in a favorable place. So I just want to thank everybody for really weighing in and just having some really important discussions around this and the future of the school. Is really really valuable, and here we are.
Sorry, can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So I'm actually thrilled that we have students like being part of this, because I think that this is an even better scenario than we were in before. Are we gonna, like, you know, the new robotics shops that we're thinking about there, are we gonna have some student input from the shops that would be more like functioning in that space to help like navigate like what's important and where things should be? Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I know they're not gonna really be constructing it, but I'm hoping that they can have, you know, the engineering shop can really have some say.
Instructors, the teachers, everyone has,
Because I just think those students can really like have some value in, like, you know, they may go into industry where they're building new spaces, and how to kind of navigate and have that on their resumes will be really invaluable for them.
Absolutely. You know, and when we first saw the bid, you know, you're like, oh, is this number good? Because, you know, but we had 11 bidders, and then the costs were all clustered around this number. So we have a high confidence that this is a good number. So, you know, we're very excited, very excited. Anything additional, Chair?
I know PCA 360 does rank them very high. They've heard nothing but good things about the contractor, so that is really, really good, because that is a scary thing about the low bidder as well.
They definitely did their due diligence.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. They worked very hard on that. So it's very excited to see groundbreaking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, moving on to the equity audit update.
All right. So Rob, you may jump in on this if you want as well.
Actually, Dr. Rob.
Dr.
Rob.
So for those of
You will be formally known
So Dr. Robert Delalue successfully defended his dissertation and was awarded his doctorate degree in education on May the 4th. So congratulations, Dr. Delalue. So we did have our on-site visit for our equity audit. They were here for 3 days, meeting with students, faculty, parents. And I know they had an opportunity to meet with some of you, but not all of you. So what Rob and I are trying to do is they had some questions for the committee that we would like to send out to folks who weren't able to be here so that you have an opportunity to weigh in. And to also make sure that everyone sees the questions and understands what the process was about. So hopefully we can get those out to you. And then they're gonna meet with us. I sent you the dates over that we could meet. They're gonna, sort of have a meeting with Rob and me and the senior leadership to talk about their initial findings, see if we have any response or any, input into that. And then we're hoping by the end of June to actually have the formal report that'll go out to everyone. So we're looking forward to that and looking forward to learning what they found and where we need to go next.
And in closing, they were so impressed with Southeastern. Just the welcoming, the smiles, the students, our timing. Equity audit's not easy. All of the meetings were on task, on time. So they couldn't express how, thrilled they were with our participation from our faculty, staff, students, and leaders. So it's a great experience for them to be here and we really showed who we are as an institution, and we're welcoming, their feedback, which again I think would be more positive, way more positive than anything. But we want to know where are the areas or blind spots that we may not notice or do notice, but it reassures some of the things that we need to continue moving forward with.
Any questions about the equity update? Moving on to the FY25 budget update.
Okay. Well, I was hoping, just based on the town meeting schedule, that I'd be able to tell you that we had an approved budget by tonight. We need 6 of our communities to approve it. But as of tonight, we have West Bridgewater, Sharon, and East Bridgewater that we know for certain have approved our budgets. We're waiting to hear from Foxborough that met last night, and Stoughton is in the process of completing their town meeting, which is always an adventure for so it could be by the end of this week that we do have an approved budget. But we're available for a town meeting or city council in Brockton even after the budget's approved if our constituents ask for it.
Well, thanks to you and Mark and school committee members who stepped up and attended some of these meetings. I mean, it made for some busy schedules sometimes, busy weeks, but just really appreciate everyone's efforts to answer questions and to be able to present on our budget.
It's always good to brag about our school.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So next is our high school athletic and club participation.
So we had an athletic subcommittee meeting some time ago, and then followed up with a school committee meeting just about participation in our clubs and activities. And at that time, our athletic director had given us some really good data. But one of the follow-up questions that you had as a committee is, can you tell us about participation for students on 504s, IEPs, and our English language learners, our former English language learners. So this is a follow-up to that. And so we see, for example, that our students who are general ed students are participating at 39.25%, whereas 40% for our 504s. But we can see here that maybe we're a little bit low for our students in IEPs, a little bit below the average. So we want to look at that and see, okay, is it a lack of access? Is it a lack of understanding about what opportunities are available? Are the clubs and activities that we're offering them, are the athletic opportunities we're offering meeting their needs? Are there different types of opportunities we can provide to them? Maybe they don't want to play varsity or whatever. Maybe they want to do more of a club or intramural that we don't have as many options for. So I think we need to look at that. So the data points are always just a nice place for us to start to think about our participation, right? And then we look here, we have 77 students who we are identifying as English language learners or multilingual learners. And, we're seeing that only a little over 19% of them are participating in athletics. So, is that a lack of opportunity? Is it a lack of access? Is it a lack of transportation? Is there language, are there language skills preventing them from feeling like that's something you're going to be included in? So we need to look at that.
Now, we're starting up with an LPAC, starting this
Correct.
coming fall, correct? Is that something that the LPAC parents can
Yes.
weigh in on?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would say the same thing for our CPAC.
Yeah.
Anytime we're seeing a participation below the average, right, we would want to look at that. So, and then in terms of clubs, just generally, our students participate in clubs at a lower level than athletics. So about 16.4% of our students in general ed. So our students on IEPs and our students on 504s are participating at a higher level than our general ed kids. And I think a lot of that is because we just offer so many different types of clubs. And we're probably, hitting more interest from kids there. And again, we're definitely seeing that our students who are acquiring English proficiency are participating at a lower level. So really thinking about how we can make these activities more accessible to them as we move forward.
Could we put a placeholder in at some meeting in the future to kind of circle back to this and talk about, like, what are we doing to kind of work on some of these gaps?
And it'll also be interesting to see if there are findings out of the equity audits
Yes.
that also align
Right.
with this,
Yeah.
that can help us get a fuller picture of what's going on.
All right. Any questions for Holly around this data? Thank you. Next up is the high school behavior data follow-up.
Okay, so as you may remember, in April, Dr. Howell, the Vice Principal of Student Support Services, gave some preliminary data about student behavior. So one of my goals for this school year was to ensure that we have a system for capturing and reporting out student behavior data in a consistent and accurate way. And Jeff Tavares, who was here, Dr. Howell, Principal Weckesser, and the entire behavior management team has really been working hard to make sure that we are able to collect data and in a consistent way that we can analyze. And so I want to thank them as we go through this, and I'm going to share with you in a little bit the dashboard that we're using and how it's going to be instructive for us going forward. So we were looking at the data through an equity conscious lens. What I always want people to understand is that a single data point is not good or bad. It's just a starting point for inquiry and reflection. Data helps us see the trends and the outliers. When we go into a data analysis, there are things that we expect to see, and if that's not what we're seeing, then that's where we need to dig deeper. And certainly data helps us to understand the whole story. So for the purposes of looking at our behavior data, I wanted to know who are our students, what are the comparative rates of referral. So a referral is when a student is referred to behavior management for a conduct issue. What is that rate generally, and what is it within our identified special populations of our students? And then one of the things the state is always judging us against is our comparative rate of suspension for students generally and within identified populations. We are required under the law and in accordance with our own philosophy of student behavior and conduct to seek alternatives to suspension. Almost the worst thing you can do is to take a student out of a structured learning environment, unless that's the only option that you have left. And sometimes you have to, right? We all acknowledge that we have to. So I start with who are our students just generally. And so we can see that 1% of our students identify as Asian, 41% as Black or African American, 15% as Hispanic, Latinx, 5% as multi-race, those are multi-race not Hispanic, 37% as white, 16% as students with disabilities, and for purposes of this, I'm talking about just students on an IEP, not students on a 504, okay? Our English language learners, our multilingual learners are 3%, and our former English language learners are 6% of our population. So that's our baseline. So when I look at our discipline data, when we look at it together, we would expect that we're going to see a smaller number of Asian students showing up in the data because there are a smaller number of Asian students, right? But we also need to think about percentages, not just numbers. Okay. So the rate of referral for students overall, I'm going to start here with this chart on the left. So for all students, about 17% of our students are referred for behavior. This could be anything from dress code to they were late for class to they were spending too much time in the hallway after they got a hall pass, anything, okay? And so that is our baseline. 17% of all students are referred to behavior. This is 268 students out of 1,579 as of May 2013. Okay? 10% of Asian students have been referred to behavior management, whereas 20% of Black and African American students have been referred to behavior management. So I would remark on that that is higher than the baseline. And so that is something that's going to cause me to say, whoops, sorry, let me go back one. What's going on? Is this, is this something I need to dig deeper into to understand why a larger percentage of Black and African American students have referrals than other students? The other data point that jumps out at me here is this 23% of our students with special needs, or students on an IEP, have been referred for behavior when the baseline is 17%. So again, that is an area where I would say, we need to look at that and see what are they being referred for, generally, and is it a situation where our behavior policies are being inequitably or inconsistently applied to students with disabilities versus students who are in the general education population? It's also worth noting that there is overlap, right? So some students with disabilities are also African American or multi-race or English language learners. So then I also looked at the percentage of our students as they relate to the student body versus the percentage of referrals. So Black and African American students represent 41% of our student body, but 49% of all referrals are for Black and African American students. So that is a data point that is statistically significant enough that we need to dig into that and ask ourselves, okay, what is going on here? What's the detail behind that? Same thing with our students with disabilities. They're 16% of our population, but 22% of our behavioral referrals are for students with IEPs. Any questions about that?
I do have a question. So when there is a referral, so like for a student with a disability, is this like, so do they distinguish behaviors that are part of their disability versus behaviors that are not?
Right. So when we see this data, and that's one of the big questions that we've been asking, and one of the big questions that we've been discussing with our Director of Special Education, with our behavior management folks, with Dr. Howell, is because the number one behavior code that we see is disruptive behavior, right? That's a very subjective term. What is disruptive behavior? When is behavior a conduct issue, and when is it a manifestation of a disability? And that manifestation of a disability can be disruptive to a classroom, but the way that we address it is different, right? So that's not a conduct issue that we send to behavior management. It's an issue that we need to discuss as the team, as the special education team, the general ed teacher, the para, the co-teacher, whoever, the parents, around that behavior. So really, that is one of the big questions that this always triggers for me is, are we confusing conduct with a manifestation of a disability, right? And how do we need to help and support our teachers in that? So, any other questions on these slides? So then the other thing we looked at is students who have multiple referrals. So the 268 individual students who have been referred for behavior. 43 have 3 or more behavioral referrals. Okay. So again, I compare the percentage of students in the general population versus the students who have been referred for 3 or more behaviors. So this is 43 students is a relatively small data set. So 1 or 2 students could really change the percentages, but it's still useful as a starting point for conversation. And again, the things that jump out to me are, we have a large gap between the baseline for our Black and African American students and the number of multiple referrals. The same is true also for our white students. So these are larger groups of students. So I feel like these data points are fairly significant, right? We have over almost 600 white students in the building, over 640 Black students in the building. So when you're dealing with that set of students, I have a little bit more confidence generally with the numbers, but we are still talking in this case about 43 students who have had more than one behavior. And again, we look at our students with disabilities, 16% of our population, but 25, almost 26% of the students with 3 or more behaviors. And you look at our formerly English learners, same thing, 6.4% of our population, but 11.6 of our multiple referrals. So just a starting point for our conversation so we can say, okay, is there something going on here that we need to be thoughtful about? Any questions about that?
Is this available by grade as well?
Yes.
Is this a case
So
of
I'm
maturity
gonna show-
versus
yeah,
immature versus?
I'm going to show you actually the great dashboard that Jeff has been working on. There are a couple of pieces of it I can show you that don't have student-specific data in it, and we're refining it all the time. So, and that's, as we go through this, if you're seeing things or not seeing things here, and that we can build into these dashboards that can help you understand, that can help all of us understand better, just let us know, because we can definitely make that happen.
I do have a question about that. Do we, and you might have it, do we have any like qualitative data too on, like you said, it's disruptive behavior, right? But do we have any further data on what, so maybe like what are those behaviors that people are referencing on the referral sheets?
Yeah, so when we were meeting about this ahead of this meeting, because my concern is who is coding it as disruptive behavior? Because if it's coming from teachers, right, I want to understand that, because disruptive behavior is such a subjective, sort of culturally specific understanding. But what's happening is the teachers are identifying behaviors. They are going to behavior management, and then behavior management based on that is choosing some codes. Some of those codes come to us from the state, so we need to use those so that we're reporting in the same way that every other school district is reporting. Some of those are our own, like a dress code. We added dress code. We added a couple of other things. So, but yeah, so that is our, to dig down and really see what is the, because if 2 students get into a fight, they could be coded as an altercation or disruptive behavior, right? So, and so then looking at our rate of suspension. So we have a very, very low rate of suspension at Southeastern. The primary reason that students are suspended from school is drugs or alcohol, possession of drugs or alcohol. It's not the only reason, but it is the primary reason. Vaping, even vaping nicotine, okay? So it's not always like a illegal narcotic. So 2.47% of all of our students, that's the rate of suspension at Southeastern. And we can see that multi-race non-Hispanic students are exceeding that rate. They're at 3.9%. That our students with disabilities are at 3.95%, right? So what that makes me question is, if the number one reason kids are being suspended is drugs and alcohol, and our students with disabilities are being suspended at a higher rate than other students, are there special interventions for drugs and alcohol that we need to think about for our students with disabilities? And that's just a question, right? And that's what data helps us do is sort of form questions and digging into what is really going on here. But again, we do have a fairly low rate of suspension given the size of the school that we have. We've only suspended 39 students during the 23-24 school year. This is the first year that we really have this level of detail for our data. So that may look like it went up from last year. Last year, I believe that the reported suspensions were 1.3% or 1.4%. But a piece of this is better reporting of data and more consistent application of our discipline policies.
And we talked about that a little bit with behavior management
Right.
last year, knowing that the numbers could go up.
Correct.
Right.
So our next steps, we're building some data dashboards. I'm going to show you the behavior one in just a minute. I am forming a district data team with Jeff Tavares, our technology director, and our senior leadership team, so that we can meet regularly to monitor and analyze all of our data, not just our behavior data. And then to always think about considering data in context. So this behavior data, this is a piece of the puzzle. Our equity audit is going to be a different piece of the puzzle. We're having student voice meetings and faculty meetings that are different pieces of the puzzle. And then we need to look at trends over time. So this is 1 year worth of behavior data. We need to see, 2 or 3 years of data really to sort of determine the trends of behavior. But, I think this is, let me just show you the dashboard because it's wicked cool. All right, so there's a lot on this page. But what it tells us is, so we've had 268 individual students who have been referred for behavior. There are 458 total referrals. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have 43 students who have been referred more than once. The number one reason that they are reported is for disruptive behavior. That's 108 of all the referrals. And when a student is referred to behavior, so there's 458 referrals, you'll see the number 606 here. A single referral can contain multiple codes. So a student could get one referral for being tardy, being disruptive, violating school rules, and all in one. So that's why you're going to see some variation in the numbers. And then we are tracking here, Andy, this is the one you asked about by grade. So actually our freshmen tend to act better than our seniors.
Oh, there goes that.
That's surprising.
Yeah. But it's actually not that surprising. They get more independent. They get more, they get more comfortable in the building. And then we also look at who are our seniors. This year's seniors are the students who started at Southeastern in that weird hybrid year. So when they were in shop remotely, and then they were in academics remotely and in shop like once a month or something. It was a nightmare. We've all tried to block out.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. And then, the other interesting point is, and I didn't include it, but I'll point it out here, is 16.97% of our students are referred for behavior, but 21.7% of our male students are. So we still tend to see more male students being referred for behavior than.
Not
It's not surprising, but is it fair? Right. Is it fair? Is it
It's probably
equitable?
justified, yes.
And then I just want to show, so then we have a second one that just shows the actions taken. So in many cases, students are getting a warning. They're getting additional in-school support from an adjustment counselor or a behavior management person. We do have what we call lunch support, detentions for things like dress code, parking lot violations, things like that. Out-of-school suspension. We do have the reset program, which is for students who maybe have a first offense for vaping or got into a skirmish with someone, an altercation not leading to injury. Instead of suspending them. We may have them go in a reset program and work on some anger management and things, a lot of phone calls home. And then we also sort of have it broken out by who's making the referrals. I have more detailed data on this in terms of where the referral's coming from, who is the student that's being referred. If a student's been referred multiple times, is the student being referred by one teacher multiple times, or is it many teachers that are referring the student? So that helps us understand the students differently. So it's a very powerful database, and this is updated daily in our school information system in School Brains. I cannot say enough good things about our behavior management people who have really, really been diligent in updating this data so that it is accurate and it's current. Because if they don't do that, then we can't make any progress in really understanding what's going on with our students. So, any questions about that?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
You do me just a small D. Can you go back to the data they gave, the breakdown? I think it's before this one.
On
Because
suspensions?
Yeah, so for those that are suspended for alcohol or vaping, are they, prior to coming back to school or after they come to school, are they being referred for some sort of services?
So we encourage the
Alcohol
parents.
abuse, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We encourage the families to seek treatment for their children, yes.
So we encourage that. But as a matter of regulation or law, there's nothing else we can do
Is there nothing else we can do?
in terms of making it mandatory is my question.
It's a challenge, because parents have a right,
So we can't.
we cannot.
We cannot. Okay. So
We encourage them because what we don't want to happen is, so for example, if a student is caught vaping,
Yep.
they're most likely, the first time, and they don't want to go to reset or whatever, they're likely to be suspended for 3 days, right?
Yep.
It's not a long-term suspension, it's enough to bring their attention to the issue, right?
Right.
Now, what we want to do is we will have conversations with the parents that say, this is a highly addictive, think about getting your child some treatment, because what we don't want is for them to come back and have another incident, because then you're looking at 10 days, right? And then you have another one, and then you're looking at, we are going to looking at placing them in like an Independence Academy or someplace where they will get treatment.
Will the data, Holly, that's awesome. Will the data reveal those that have refused services? Can we add that field? I would love to see that.
We could.
Okay.
Do we collect that? Or is it more
So
like
we have, I'm thinking of, we have a new program, the Care Solace, where we make recommendations to families to seek treatment, and then the Care Solace team helps them find the treatment. And we can absolutely track whether the family followed up on that. Yeah.
And that doesn't violate HIPAA or anything like that?
Well, we're not getting names, right?
Yeah, as long as it's done.
We just get refused.
Right?
Yeah. It just helps us to understand.
It's a little
you know.
dodgy, but I'm all for it.
Well, we have all kinds of data that's
Yeah, we have all
private
sorts
for
of-
them.
yeah, I mean, we
It's
have all
more about
sorts of-
publishing
Yeah.
that, but this would be numeric.
Yeah, and we're looking at trends, right? We're looking at trends
Correct.
and big picture data,
Yeah.
not individual
No,
students.
I'm not.
Yeah.
At least that's not.
All right.
Yeah.
No, it's a good idea.
So again, I think, this data helps us see that there may be some disparities in the way that certain groups of students are being disciplined, or at least referred
Right.
to behavior. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
that when they're referred, the behavior management people may say, oh, this is not a behavior issue. There may be no consequence, but it's still a referral that.
Right.
So I was gonna ask, these are so even if, let's say, somebody says this is not a thing, we're just gonna pretend like this didn't happen, those numbers are still in there?
Still
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Because typically, they're still making a phone call home to a
Right.
parent, or they're logging in School Brain, or
Yeah.
something is being documented.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm pausing because let me think about, I'm going to present this to us. So we know that, it's no secret that I'm the Vice President of the NAACP. So when we look at this sort of data, we often talk about, and this is what I want to just ask you, the subjective sort of decision-making that's happening in the classroom. Often you all may see those comedian sort of talks like, oh, little Johnny does it, you know, these jokes about this sort of stuff, but it's actually very serious. What are you looking at in terms of saying that, ooh, there's a lot of folks saying that black male is being disruptive. It may not be. How are we gonna kind of, it's a we thing, so how?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was like one of the data points that I started to pull out.
Yeah.
Because that's the #1 referral code.
Yeah.
So, but in my head, I'm like, is that the referral code that teacher is using or the staff member is using when they report it? And it's not. It's the referral code that's being assigned on the back end. So I'm trying to understand what is triggering that referral. And our referral sheets will provide that, but we need to dig in and see what's happening, right? Because that is the one place where your own cultural identities really are going to impact what you believe is disruptive, right?
Right.
And it, you know, where there's more implicit bias than in, if a student is tardy, they're tardy. Right. The class started at this time.
Right.
They came in after the class.
That's factual.
That's tardy.
That's right.
But what is disruptive, right?
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So no, I agree. I think that's a great question.
Yeah. So, any more questions for Holly?
Just another comment. This is awesome data.
Yeah.
The dashboard is beautiful.
Oh yeah. So
It looks like candy.
Yeah, I went down so many rabbit holes with that thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to keep it a little higher level for this meeting. But it certainly is going to allow us to really dig down and get that kind of information.
But the difference is with this is what I kind of been looking for since I've been here. This is really in the weeds, not necessarily for the public to see, but it's in the weeds, and I wanted to make sure that we are getting that deep dive. So this is this is awesome work. Thank you.
Yeah, we recognize that takes a lot of time and effort. So thank you so much for clarifying.
Absolutely.
For us.
And Dr. Howell was doing benchmark testing and parent information night.
I was looking for her.
Yes. So I did let her know I would be presenting.
And this is live as well, right? You can look at this weekly, monthly, and see
Daily.
trends. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's updated daily. So.
Holly, what's the level of access on this? Are we seeing this? Can we see this? We're not allowed.
You can't, because I just showed you the face
that's what I
page,
thought.
but if I had clicked on any of those like disruptive behavior, it would open up
give you
and
the
show me
goodies.
every student and how many times and whatever. So,
thank you. I got it.
I think, going forward, what I would like to do is create some dashboards that have some big picture data that is publicly available to our parents, to the school committees, to the teachers, to whomever, because so people understand, right, that we are looking at it and taking it seriously.
Thank you.
All right.
Holly, is there any breakdown between vocational and academic with like disruptive behavior? If it's taking place in a shop or taking place in a regular classroom?
I'm going to assume vocational's a lot higher.
I don't know.
Really? Really?
I seem to enjoy that.
Yeah, but it's easier to build relationships.
You got
and
somebody
all that.
that's, that could be causing a safety issue. I can see that being reported probably a
You
little
know
bit.
what? I'm gonna take a look at that, because we definitely have, we do have it broken down by what shop the student is, but not necessarily if the behavior occurred in the shop. But we do have it broken down by who actually made the referral.
Is it by date? The date would show who's in the shop that week?
We have it by the person who made the referral.
I was gonna say, I saw a math teacher, a science teacher.
Vocational teachers were
Yeah.
number one, 85.
Yeah.
Number one.
That would not surprise me. It can be a safety issue.
Right.
But then it was broken down in academics, it didn't say academic teacher, said math, science.
Math, science.
Because it was like 20-ish.
That's a lot of
That's
detail,
uniform.
actually.
Math was 26.
So we can definitely look at that.
I would figure that people would get.
When I
better
was
for
looking at the
uniform.
data, however, I noticed that a lot of the initial referrals were created by the behavior management staff themselves. So I don't know if that's because it was something that happened in a hallway or a common space, or if a teacher called them and they initiated the referral. So I think the data might not be as pure there, but we can definitely get some sort of high level look at where the behaviors are arising. It also helps us understand if like some teachers are struggling more with classroom management than others, and you know, things like that. So.
All right. Moving on to the high school student handbook 2024 to 2025 second reading.
All right, I'm going to turn this over to Principal Weckeser. Becky, bring it up.
Is it that big?
Yeah,
that was slow.
All 40-something pages of it, right?
Yeah, we only added 15 pages.
Oh, only.
Only added 15.
Wow.
You
So
know, I'll open the summary. How's that?
yeah, so we didn't make any other changes based
Okay.
upon last.
You did.
This was just our second reading.
So I did go through a second time. I found some really small things, and I didn't know if we wanted to incorporate it here, just since we're doing the edits. So the first one was on page 1, where it's just a simple thing where it was talking about where is it? Bringing it down to the bottom.
That page I or 1?
No, it's 1.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Is this one? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
so it says, at the bottom by the red, it says one of our attending towns. We could just say attending communities because we do have a city in there. I just
Okay.
figured that would be a way to encapsulate all of them.
Debbie, you noting these, or would you
I am
like me
noting
to?
these. Actually, I gave that to our press company this week.
And then generally, so I noticed that there was an effort, and I know it's a huge effort to try and be consistent with like parent, guardian, caretaker. So I noticed that some of that was taken out, but then other parts still had the parent in there. So I just wanted to flag that for consistency.
Okay.
Do you want all the parents changed to guardian?
I think
we changed it to parent or guardian.
no, it wasn't. So I saw
Yeah.
guardians and caretakers, and I saw parent, guardian, and caretaker. So I didn't. However you want to do it, I just thought that it would be better for consistency to go with the same.
All right. I know there are a couple of places in there when we restate verbatim the law as it's written, and they often just have a parent. So but outside of that,
And I did see legal guardian somewhere too. So
All right.
that was
So
that
we'll
one.
take a look and just be consistent across the board.
And what are we being, what's the answer? It's gonna be parent? We're saying parent?
No, so I think the effort was to be more inclusive because not all children or not all students have parents who are
Parents.
who are parents.
So what's the language we're deciding on?
I think
I've forgotten
we
honestly.
had gone through and done parents or legal guardians, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there are in some places where it did say caregivers, but you have to be careful, especially around dismissal and everything else, because Pat could be my caregiver, but if it doesn't read like that in our student information system, we cannot. So, you know, and we did, the school council, we caught on to that too. And we were like, time out, because I could see the heading of it, and I'm like, that's a place we would be very specific, parent, guardian.
Right. If we were holding a disciplinary. hearing,
Correct.
for
So it's
example,
parent, guardian.
caregiver.
Yeah, so just going through, maybe just doing a
Parent
find
guardian.
and just making
Yeah,
sure.
Fine.
we even had families still in there.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You know, yeah.
Oh, no.
So my nephew's gonna come and dismiss me today. You gotta be careful with that, so.
And then I think the next one was 21.
Okay.
And I wrote a word, and I don't know if it's gonna be in here.
What's the word? I
Is
can
it
search
easier?
it.
To be registered. I think it's at the end, let's see. Oh, it had something to be, okay. So I think it had to do with the regulations for bus students. And it had to do with the word registered or be registered.
Oh, in order
They're
to
on that
ride the
last
4 or
one.
6 o'clock bus, students must have a bus pass.
So is registered the right?
Yeah, it might be, you're right, it should be enrolled.
Yeah.
Enrolled. Thank you, Christine.
The enrolled in after-school program.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then there's one more, and I promise that's it. So beyond 40.
Okay. So 40 plus 6, 46. I'm trying to do this.
Yeah.
Is it this one?
Yeah, so it's in regards to the lockers. So it talks about, okay, so it should be, okay, so let's see, it says,
Students are provided lockers.
a search may also be conducted to protect the safety of others. All searches may be conducted with or without a student's consent. Students are provided lockers in which to store materials. It should be clearly understood that this equipment is the property of the school. The lockers is the property of the school. And so I just wanted to be a little bit more clear on that because it's the students'
Right.
Property
it's
inside.
property. The lockers is the school's property, and just to make sure that we make that very clear, especially as we're talking about searches.
Would personal possessions fit
Yes.
that in there?
Right. So.
Yeah, I'm wondering though, I wanna look at that one particular, because I think that came from
State.
the state and discipline.
Okay, but you see where kind of.
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
understand
Yeah.
that, and to be honest with you, our students rarely use our lockers.
Yeah.
But we still have to have it in there, just in case we're
Yeah,
contested.
So is the equipment the locker? Is that what we're?
Yes.
Yeah, so
The
just kind of
equipment,
making,
okay,
right.
all right. Maybe we just, that the,
Yeah, that's actually,
this
Yeah.
locker.
Because that
yeah,
could
that's
really
wrong.
get us
If
in.
the state did that, that's
Yeah.
actually wrong.
Yeah, that the locker is the property.
It's a locker.
Right.
My state's never wrong.
All right, they didn't prove me.
Just so it's clear, right? Because that is what we mean, right?
Yes.
The equipment is the locker?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we assume that that's what you mean, but then, you know,
Right.
you're dealing with some pretty.
Right, don't.
Make no
The
assumptions
only
in
time
that.
they look at that.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. So that's all that I have. I don't know if anyone else has some suggestions, modifications. And if not, I can entertain a motion to approve with the revisions, the proposed revisions.
Motion to approve with revisions?
Second,
Any further discussion? No, let's bring it to a vote. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't
Opposed?
get who was first.
Okay, so that was, Jen
Jen,
Sousa.
second.
It was Tony. Yeah,
I was putting revisions.
sorry, let's back up. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you. Now we're on to new business.
All right. Okay, this
Skills
is
USA.
fun. So Skills USA National Conference, this is to approve the June 2024 trip, so it's the last week of June. I believe we have 12 students who are going, and their chaperones, for a week to Atlanta, Georgia, because it's out-of-state travel. I do need your approval.
Move to approve the June 2024 trip to our students and chaperones to the National Skills USA Conference in Atlanta, Georgia.
second,
Any further discussion? If not, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, ayes have it, 7-0. Thanks. Next up is the League of Women Voters birthday bags.
Okay. We decided, as most of you already know, I'm the co-president of the Sharon Stoughton League of Women Voters. And one of the initiatives we're taking this year, we're following something that the Needham League has done, but they have a student league in the high school, and so they're actually doing it. But we want to do it on behalf of our students, and we feel that this is a good place to do it because we have a lot of students who probably are not registered to vote because we probably don't have as many kids who have their driver's licenses, because most students now register at the age of 16 when they get their learner's permit, and then at the age of 18, this registry or the state automatically brings them into the active rolls. So our idea is that sometime in October,
prior to the October 26th registration deadline, that we would give out bags to the various students who will turn 18 by November 5th, which is the election day, and get them registered to vote. The bags would contain a flyer card with registration information and probably a link to the Secretary of State's office so they can find out where their polling place is. We'll probably have bookmarks with the various amendments to the Constitution, patriotic themed stickers. We want the kids to take the bag, so we'll put some candy in there. And so this is basically.
Give kids candy to make them vote.
Well, you can't get them to the polls, but you can get them to register. And we probably have some volunteers to help with this effort, so we wouldn't. So actually, we're going to put some markers in, be a voter stickers and various things like that. So the local league has gotten a grant from the State League of Women Voters, the Sharpman Fund, which is our educational fund, to provide this for our students. So we'd like yes.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. So is the idea that they register like at a table and then they get the bag, or is it they get something to like mail in?
We would probably like to do it at a table, just because if we can grab them right then and make sure they register.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was like register at this table or we're just like passing out information to register.
So I had a similar question, like, have you thought about the rollout and what that's going to look like?
Yeah, we'll get some volunteers, and we might have, there are some other organizations that might partner with us, all dedicated strictly to voting.
Can I ask a follow-up question
Yeah.
then? My only concern, I guess, would be if we're having them register to vote in the building, and I don't know the answer to this. I am a registered voter, but it's a while ago. Do they have to pick up political affiliation at that time?
The voter registration form, and actually they'll probably just be letters. I would assume we might have laptops or Chromebooks and do it like that, because that way you get them to register right away. The form has a place to register with a party or register unenrolled.
Okay, so is that a concern
We're
for
not,
us, I
we're
guess?
not going to provide any pressure. We just want them to register to vote, because we feel if you start voting at 18, you're going to be a lifelong voter.
Right. I just wondered if that was an issue.
But there'll be nothing partisan.
I don't know. Okay.
The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization.
That sounds great.
So what are the documents that would be required from an 18-year-old to have with them to register to vote?
I don't know if they have to have stuff on them at the time they register, because you can register to vote online, but I will check that out. I will check that.
So can I just ask the dangerous question?
Yes,
do it.
I'm going to offer that I have been one, like many of us in this room, a strong supporter of getting as many folks to register to vote as possible. Many campaigns. This is a public building, and I'm kind of wondering if we have the authority to even touch this. I don't know if the league has looked at that. Can
the
we?
league has done many registrations. I remember doing a registration at Stoughton High School.
So they have done it on school property?
Yes, absolutely, because this is not partisan, it is not, there's no coercion.
That's what I was like kind of worried about, I guess.
Yes, no.
We have to be completely neutral and nonpartisan.
And we will be.
But allowing people to register to vote, I think, if I were a parent, that would be my major concern, is can my child actually register to vote without anyone trying to influence their party registration? Right?
Right, so I always thought it had to be, I forgot the term that we used to use, arm's length, or what it is, an actual term, which would mean that, say if I do have this thing from Mass General that says something about voting, that it would be on the table, but that there would be no person to say, hey, just be an announcement, you can register to vote, here's the packet. But there would be no person involved. So just to make sure that there's no, what's the word, influencer, something like that.
Right.
So that's why I'm just kind of, and the candy, we can't do the candy. The candy is technically a gift. But I was just wondering,
Why can't we do candy?
I thought you can give nothing for voting. I think,
This is a bag.
didn't the ruling come down no, I'm talking, even to encourage voting? And I think that, well, I could be wrong, but even, some of these
I know
states,
Needham
unlike
gets candy.
Massachusetts, unlike Massachusetts, they don't want to make sure you get water for voting. But I thought they had to be arm length. That is that no one there to influence the party that is voting. And if I'm wrong on that, then I stand to be wrong.
No coercion.
No, I mean, if we have a laptop, if we do it, have laptops or Chromebooks there, we would have the student use it. We would not do it ourselves.
I guess I'm just kind of wondering why haven't we figured this out? A lot of organizations figured out just to come to the schools, see the seniors and have them register to vote.
Yeah.
It just really seems just a little too easy. But if it's accepted.
Is there a way to kind of check?
I'll check on it.
Well, she said they've done it already at the high school.
They've done it.
they've done
I know
it
it.
already, but-
They've done it. There are organizations that come in all the time and do voter registration drives.
That we could figure that.
Or,
But
just
we'll figure it out. Yeah,
allowed
I'll
to.
figure it
Or
out.
even just guidance around
Yeah.
kind of how to do it in a way that,
It's not influenced by
Right.
anyone.
Yeah, right.
But
No,
what
and
you
we
just
wouldn't
said
be.
was important. They will do it online.
Right.
In other words, you're not sitting there and do you want to be this, or this?
No, we would not.
right, but at the same time, you're still you might have a person at the table, right? And so even though they're doing it, there's still this
It's
feeling.
not arm's
so-
length, right.
Right, so, I mean, and Robin, please don't take this as like an attack on this effort, because this
Oh, no.
effort is
No, I think
important.
it's a great idea.
It's just making sure that, we're thinking about all the things that we need to be thinking about.
I will bring back,
We need to protect ourselves and our students, so as long as that's what's happening.
I
think
do
it's a good idea.
wonder if they haven't done it in schools because it takes kids away from their classes, because that's what's going to happen.
Well, how
no,
about
it usually
lunchtime?
happens during lunch. It would
And
probably
then
be
they miss
lunch.
lunch, and then they say, I'm hungry, and you can hear it, right? They're kids, right? I mean, I can give you all the spiels because I would have done it, all right? Just so you know.
We do lots of things during lunch, though. I mean, that doesn't bother me. I just think that, it's a very sensitive time, right?
It most certainly is.
And just making sure that, I believe very, very strongly that we should be absolutely nonpartisan in everything that we do. And every person should vote.
Right.
That's our obligation as a citizen. And, helping students register to vote, helping them, do that, making sure they do it is fine. I just do want us to protect them.
Yeah, I will check because I know it has been done in Needham.
Yeah.
And
just
I know
ask
the
what-
state
what-
league actually gave us a grant, $400 grant to help do this.
Yeah. So I would
Maybe,
just say.
does
Yeah,
that?
the state league won the voters.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of arguments. My point is that, and I'm speaking for someone that has been in this fight for a very long time, this is a public building. This is a public institution. And if we could have done this, figured this out, but Stoughton has done it. That's why I'm like, if they've already
And they've done
but
it in
everybody
many
needs-
places.
all of us
Here's-
are supposed to be nonpartisan, need to be doing this, because
Right.
we get tons of 18-year-olds to vote. So this is, wow.
Yeah, and we're not
You can stand right
influencing.
outside the, boom.
And candy can be in a jar,
No,
inside
there-
a bag.
As a matter of fact, there's a sorority that has gone around. There's a day, usually, I think in the month of September, that there have been organizations that have gone into various schools to register kids to vote. As I say, I will check further, but I'm pretty sure there is nothing that prevents us from doing it.
Okay.
Because it's a civic activity. It has nothing to do with partisan.
And you're not pushing any
No.
candidate, any policy, any, yeah.
No.
Right.
I mean, like they have,
So just to make sure that we're clean on this, so my question is, or I'm hoping us as a body, can I have a computer at a table and register someone to vote in a public school? And it not be seen, regardless of the designation of the organization, it not be seen as being partisan? That's my question.
Right.
this is the type of
Does that-
sticker we
does
give
that
out.
make-
All it says is be a voter.
Right.
Oh,
No, Robin, we're for it.
Yeah.
All
All
that's
of the
awesome.
greatest of intentions, absolutely.
Yeah.
So to make this clean, what I'm gonna do is, barring objection, I move to postpone the discussion of birthday bags and the vote to students pending further information
Okay,
and
I will
research.
check with the league tomorrow.
Yeah, and I would like to know, like, what safeguards did they put in
Right.
place?
Yeah. Or, you know,
to
MASC
ensure
or-
absolute
yeah.
neutrality,
Was it
right?
an after
Wait,
school
wait
program?
a minute, I got lost. So, and you know, I'm the type that if I screw something up, so now I got lost. So we were gonna vote on that
This was
It's a
up
donation.
for a vote.
as a donation?
Yeah.
So
as a
it's called a distribution, so.
Yeah.
So a school committee, a political subdivision of the Commonwealth was gonna vote on
Accepting a donation.
accepting a donation, but really is voting, yes?
Well, the thing is, there's a cost to the bags. The stuff we're putting, we
So we're not gonna
estimated,
vote on giving permission
Yeah.
for the league to come into this building?
not necessarily. no.
Okay,
I mean, if you
Well,
want the, if
'cause
you
it
want
feels like
volunteers.
Right, so I think what I wanna do is I wanna get some more information.
Okay.
Once we get that information, let's figure out how to write this motion in a way that makes the most
right,
sense.
because I can tell you right now, for the people probably listening, there's gonna be a lot of groups that are gonna wanna do this.
Right,
If
so.
this is true, so.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're estimating our costs to be about $894. We got a $400 grant from the Massachusetts League of Women Voters, so.
Christine, it doesn't approve the distribution.
Right, I understand, I'm postponing
No,
the
I
vote,
understand.
and then we may need to redo the motion.
I didn't mean to, I know we.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a friend of this, I'm
Yeah.
not pushing back on anybody. Yeah.
Right.
Right, I will check.
And we do have some time. So thank you for your patience, Robin.
So
Okay.
we'll revisit.
Yes, we'll revisit this at the June meeting. Next up is the school committee retreat.
Breeze. Aren't we going to Greece? We already said that, right?
We just got back from
Well, I was thinking
Greece.
Japan. I'm up for Japan.
All right. I'm good with anything. If it's travel, I'm in.
So we have traditionally,
Right.
historically,
Operative word.
yeah, waived the July meeting and held a lengthy school committee retreat in August. And so if we want to do that again, we need to pick a date, times, and then I can start looking for a venue. I know they've allowed us the last few years to use Stonehill, the Irish Studies room at Stonehill College. I can reach out to them again, see if that's available, but I would need a date. So-
Right, so I would like to propose that we do something similar to what we did last year and have the school committee meet and just the school committee to discuss Holly's evaluation, followed by the full meeting and then dinner afterwards. Last year, we started at 1 p.m. with that piece, and I think this year will go a lot more smoothly, kind of now that we
Yeah.
figured it out. And then looking at just in terms of when we usually meet, which is the second Tuesday of the month, that's August 13th, I
The
believe.
13th, okay.
So would August 13th at 1 p.m. work?
I am traveling and I will not be back until the 19th.
Okay.
August 13th is also bad for me.
Okay.
I get to sit on a motorcycle from August 1st to August 18th. It's gonna be fantastic.
August 20th?
August 20th.
I'm good with the 20th.
You're gone the 20th?
No, I'm good with the 20th.
You're good with the
Sorry.
20th, okay.
Let me enunciate that a little better.
August 20th, good for?
Missing Mindy and Chelsea.
Yeah, we're missing a few people.
Kelsey and,
Jerry will be gone.
Right.
Mindy.
Okay.
Jerry has resigned as of June.
The day after graduation.
Did I miss that?
I also didn't know about that.
Oh, Jerry, okay. Okay.
So we're looking at Mindy and Kelsey's.
I can check with them.
Yeah. So let's tentatively schedule August 20th.
I'm gonna put a placeholder for the 20th.
Yeah,
Okay.
20th at 1 p.m., please.
Yeah.
You appreciate you all for moving that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for letting us know. All right.
So you are also Madam Chair, if I may, you were
Yes.
talking about building the agenda. Are we gonna talk about that tonight? You mentioned Holly's evaluation. Was there other items?
Yes,
We're
and
gonna
then
have
it'll
a
be the
speaker?
full
Okay.
school committee meeting.
So no speaker this time?
Well, wait, yes. we are
One of the
considering.
things I was considering, I had spoken to the chair and the vice chair
Yeah.
about, is we are getting ready to go into negotiations with our federation in September.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about having someone come in and talk about negotiation strategy, and just generally,
I was gonna say,
you know,
that's something
yeah,
I can
just
participate in,
just
okay.
generally, not in
Yeah.
terms
Yeah.
of any specifics. But, you know, negotiation strategy and things like that, which I think would be very
Okay, thank you.
I think,
powerful.
yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, certainly if there are other things that you'd like to discuss, you know.
I think that would be useful.
I think that would be awesome.
Somebody from MASC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
So the person from MASC would talk about negotiation?
Yeah, what kind
Yeah,
of.
negotiation strategy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last year you did your part from 1 to 3.
Yes.
Would this stuff start at 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
With dinner like last time?
Yes.
Mhm.
Likely at fabulous Stonehill College.
Yeah.
I will reach out to Mr. Petrowski, see. And you know, we may not, you know, depending on how long you wanna go with the meat of the meeting, you know, negotiation, if there may be another topic that you wanna discuss, just if folks wanna just weigh in, we can see if we
Yeah.
can.
So I'm just wondering if we should talk about the equity audit.
Yeah,
Yes.
strategic planning, equity,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot, I mean, we can
We can fill a
an agenda.
meeting. There's
Yeah.
there's no doubt
Data,
about
we can
that.
talk about data all day long.
Yeah. So when the equity audit
It
is
should be,
concluding and
it should be done by the end of June.
well then
So I
August
will-
would be perfect.
Yeah, so I'll be
Yeah.
able to provide you with the report and you'll have time to reflect on it. We
And
can
it'll
do
come
that.
first full circle because it came out of
Last
last
year's-
year's August meeting, right?
Right.
All right, so then let's add that as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you for the ideas. Okay, next up is reports from the NSBA conference.
Told you. I told you this.
They voted you in earlier.
Robin didn't hear us vote. She didn't hear us vote.
They did that.
Representative Branch, would you like to report on the trip?
I have some high level. No, wait, listen, I wrote some high level notes, but I didn't, I mean, there was one particular, so just for the public that is listening to this, we have professional development. We travel to New Orleans through the did I say it right?
NSBA.
NSBA. Sometimes the acronyms, screw my head up. But nonetheless, so we did this travel for the purposes of professional development. I know there's a lot of issues about folks traveling for these events, but this was very, very important. The keynote was Ruby Bridges. If you don't know who Ruby Bridges is, she was either a 5 or 6 year old, 6 years old, that was the first to integrate her elementary school. So her presentation was awesome. But what I found compelling about her presentation is when she actually talked about race. She identified the fact that her son had been murdered. And that we often talk about race in the context of focusing on racism. But she really wanted to talk about and focus on the economics of New Orleans and other places, and the fact that often we do have this talk about race, but it was a black person that killed her son. And that hit home with me, because we often talk about institutional racism, which is a valid conversation, but the economy of these communities is so important in order to get them out of the trauma, the disparity, and the poverty that they go through. I personally, I'm sorry, I'm getting I personally, that made me feel that it's time for us to have that conversation within my own community, if I can say that. Second, which was very, very interesting, that I did not expect, and I hope you all back me up on this, the executive director and the chief executive officer apologized for NSBA's role in refusing to have some schools not to be desegregated. She made an apology about NSBA's role in segregation. And she's a black woman. Something that I didn't expect. Those of us that understand some of the history of some of the school committees in the South, legislation in the South, 17 states fought quite strikingly, diligently against desegregation. And when I try to give these conversations, I give these conversations in the context of me saying that in certain parts of this country, Barbara and I could not sit next to each other, could not go to school together. And that is simply craziness. It was craziness in this country. So for her to apologize for that, and I hope you would sit next to me. Hey, let me clean this up, Jen, would you? I'm sorry, I need to clean that up a little bit. I don't want to make any assumption that you want to sit next to Tony Branch, but nonetheless,
I find it fine to sit there.
Thank you. I was moved by that.
I'll clarify that. Okay.
We attended jointly and without each other a few of the offerings. Legal and practical complexities of addressing racial bias is one that stuck out in my mind. And the second one, I have 3 or 4 here, but the second one was how to conduct an equity audit. So we all attended that. And I think we all noticed some things when we did our equity, at least I did, when we did our equity audit, when they called us and asked us to have the school committee participate in our recent conversation on equity, or the equity audit. And one of the things that stood out to me was when he kept talking, the doctor kept talking about timing and not doing it quickly. And I just thought, and I know it's an ongoing process and we're going to be getting the surveys from the other school committee members, 30 minutes, I can tell you, was not enough. I'm being really respectful about this. So we learn, and that's why it's ironic, because you go to these professional development, you get all this information, but I can tell you that 30 minutes should not have been counted like that, and it was not enough time to give a perspective. And even though we are I think a large school committee, individual surveys without the entire body being present would have also been appropriate. But that's just my 2 cents. Others may have something different, something that I learned from the course that we took. Healing was talked about. Dr. Timothy Shriver, a Kennedy. He looked like Robert Kennedy. He looked like John Kennedy. We thought we were looking at a Kennedy, and he is a Kennedy. Yeah. So it was, his presentation was awesome. And the reason why we looked at Robin, because Robin, he gave us that word that we were supposed to come back, and I forgot the word. You remember? Do you remember, Gerson, what he said?
One job.
Not I know, right? Yeah. Not civility. It was a word, and he actually showed us how to present it.
Yeah,
because that's where.
I have that thing at home.
So he showed us this video where he had been interviewing both Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, because you can be conservative. I mean, he had done this interview about civility and of how we can move the country forward. He showed us some of the staunchest folks that were really going against the politics of the day, how they actually got together. And when you look at the data, many of them were showing or identifying the same values. Yeah. But then a lot of this was really politics and getting your soundbite on TV. So when he did that sort of behind the scenes work, it was very, what's the word?
Dignity index.
The dignity index.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a picture that I.
Yes. Cheater. Where you know?
They just take a picture of it. You're right. It's
And it was interesting how he
That's
had
it.
basically.
Okay, I didn't hear what you said before, index.
Dignity index.
Dignity.
Okay.
And he had us evaluate.
Yes, he did.
He gave us various scenarios, and we had like a 1 through 8 scale, I believe.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah, and we had to evaluate where we were on the scale. And you had the extremes.
Right. But based upon that data, no matter where you were on the political spectrum, in the United States, folks were basically connected on many things. But it's crazy what you see on TV. Yeah. So what the point that I think that he was trying to make, Dr. Schreiber was trying to make, is that you can literally go back home and have, I think we used to talk about have a beer with somebody, but you literally go back home and have that conversation. You will realize that what? You and I have so much in common.
Absolutely.
Then it's not. You know what I mean? And that moved me. But Robert, you kept talking about it because I don't. Now you're not even saying.
No, I mean, it was interesting because it was, you know, and it was interesting because obviously his sister's in the media, but he was complaining about the media, and he was complaining about what goes on in politics with the, you know, we cater to the extremes, and it's basically, they try to get everybody.
But the media, the point he was making, the data shows, the media is driving the narrative.
Right.
That's it.
It's one of the hardest conversations to have today, because nobody can have a conversation about it. They yell and scream at each other.
Correct. So, exactly. So, I mean, we found it to be very interesting. So so would I go back to New Orleans? Absolutely not. The walk I don't think they should ever do it there again. The walk was just horrible in their conference.
Really?
Oh yes, I would never.
It's a large complex.
Yes.
It's a very large complex.
And the other offerings that they had were packed. Literally, we got kicked out of a room.
That's the law. Was the law?
It's because of so they stuck by if the capacity of the room was 50, that was it. So literally stuff that we could not attend.
Did you have
stuff
any
that
fun there?
I guess when he ate the alligator.
Yeah.
Crocodile.
The whole alligator?
No, crocodile. Let me clean that up.
Oh my God! Yeah. Alligator hunting. No. I ordered a plate of alligator bites.
Yes.
Yes.
Tastes like chicken.
I tried.
No, it actually did not. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Yeah. But I tried to get Tony and Robin to join me in, but
They wouldn't do it.
No, we wouldn't.
I did hear you had a long walk.
Yeah, the walk. It was.
It was like a 15 to 20 minute walk.
So what I learned, Gerson, I love you. You know that we've been friends for years. But what I learned is when Gerson looks on his maps and it says, "Oh, it's only 1 or 2 miles, 17 minutes." That was a long walk. And we followed you. Poor Robin.
Yeah.
Robin, I'm so sorry.
I was struggling with my shoes.
I did ask, do we want to walk or do we want to take an Uber? You guys said you guys wanted to join. It was a nice day, nice weather.
And then we were, on the way back, we were cursed out by the Uber driver.
He did tell us all really bad.
Yeah. But for me, I like the camaraderie one. That was a positive. And also the networking that we did while we were there.
Yes, we did.
We met some good people.
Yeah, so there was school committees from all over the United States. We have from Canada as well, and from some of the Caribbean islands.
But we hung out with the folks from Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, we did. We did. So I'm glad you broached that because one of the things that I wanted to, and I haven't done a deep dive since we were at the conference, is that the suicide rate among students is like quadrupled. And no one's really talking about that. So the woman gave the presentation on emotional behavioral health, which is very, very impressive. I think I stole some of her slides, but so I wanted just to broach that. This is very, very important that we look at the the mental health of our students, that remain on top of the list. And I know that's a part of the equity review as well. So, but that's my
We
report.
just to comment on that, I think Brittany mentioned it briefly. We just did the Green Bandana Project, which is a student-led initiative to sort of raise awareness about suicide prevention and to get students to seek help. So the students are not providing counseling, whatever.
No, we get it.
But it's if you have the green bandana, I have one in my office. That somebody can come to you and say, I'm struggling, can you point me towards the right resources?
Right.
So just trying to raise some awareness about that, because we do know that is a very serious issue for our students.
Tony didn't mention this, but at the beginning of our journey, it was a little bumpy because of the earthquake that happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
We were
we're,
stuck on the plane for an hour before we took off.
The eclipse?
You didn't
Well,
do the eclipse,
no.
man.
No, the eclipse, we didn't see at all.
You can see the eclipse.
Well,
We were up in the air.
Oh, because,
Yeah, the Earth came in New York, so wait a minute, we were about to take off. We need to just give you this picture. We were about to take off, and it is scary to hear the pilot come on and say, we gotta turn around. That was fun.
This is
And
the
I didn't know what that.
737, we gotta turn around.
Well, I'm not gonna say it live on TV, but some of us were a little already a little perturbed because we were on a certain type of airplane that's been on the news.
Well, wait a minute.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
I have noticed that ends my report.
Well, thank you so much.
But overall, it was great, and if anyone else
You all should all
yeah,
go.
should,
Yeah, we need
should
to
try
do
to
that.
make
Yeah.
the next one, which is I believe
Atlanta next year.
New Orleans.
Yeah, no, it's in Atlanta. The next one's in Atlanta.
Sounds like a really powerful conference.
Yeah.
All right, so we're moving on to the legislative liaisons report.
So, on Monday, May 6th, Holly, Christina, Robert, and I went to Boston. Now, it was a gorgeous day. We walked from the Boston Common parking garage.
Show off.
Sun was
put that in my
shining,
notes, they
and we walked where the morning began to
Yes,
the
yes.
UMass Club, which in Boston, on the 31st floor that overlooks the whole city with a magnificent view. There was a legislative update from the House Chair on the Committee on Education, an update on the MASC legislative priorities, and I gave everyone what those are.
Can I have
From
one for the
Jason.
record?
What?
Can I have one for the record?
Oh, sure.
This was Kelsey's.
From Jason Fraser, the MASC Vice President and Chair of the MASC Legislative Committee. In addition to the listed priorities, they talked about the growing crisis in town budgets, many facing overrides, teacher shortages, mental health, diversity of teachers in our school systems needed, and MCAS not be tied to graduation. The second part of the day began at the State House with a wonderful lunch prepared by all of the culinary programs, including our very own Southeastern, which was wonderful. And this is always, I think, a highlight of the day. After lunch, Holly had a schedule of legislators to visit. Some were not there, but we did visit the staff person from Representative Steve Howard's office. She was up to date on our issues. She knew about our school. She had been here. We had a good conversation with her. And our day ended with a productive meeting with Senator Paul Feeney, who understands, I think he went to the votes. He understands our needs. He supports our school. And he has been trying to convince his colleagues that a lottery is not in the best interest of the vocational schools or the students. He knows that students who have a passion for hands-on voter training are best served by basic criteria for admission. So we appreciated that, and we're hoping for the best there. This is a busy time, as everyone knows, for the legislators on the Hill. They're deliberating on amendments to the budget. The process, of course, won't be completed till July. And in the meantime, we can all be contacting our representatives to support the school and the priorities that we have, and to vote down Senate Bill 257, sponsored by Cronin. So we're hoping for that. I'm hoping Paul Feeney he needs to do a little horse trading with his friend Cronin. So we're hoping for something there. But
So just to give you an update, Senator Cronin did file an amendment to the budget. It is amendment, let me get it, I believe it's 781. Let me double check. 751? 751. So Senate Budget Amendment 751 would mandate a one-size-fits-all lottery admissions policy. It would allow us to consider only attendance and discipline. It would not allow us to talk to students about why they want to come to a vocational school. And,
Which is a lottery.
Yeah. We talked to Senator Feeney, who agreed with us and felt very strongly, this is not a budgetary issue. This is an education policy issue, and it should not be an amendment to the Senate budget. But he has filed it. He filed it last year. So MAVA's doing a full outreach to the legislature, to the Senate president, trying to defeat the amendment. So Let's keep our fingers crossed. We were able to do it last year. Let's hope we can do it again this year. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara, and thank you and Robin. I mean, you went to Day on the Hill and then you came back and did the equity audit too.
That was awesome, actually. Yeah.
So I really
Thank you.
appreciated that effort. I know it was a long day for you.
Oh, at town meeting that night.
Yeah, at town meeting too. Jeez.
Oh, that's right, you had an extra.
Okay, thank you so much. Next up is our principal's report. Principal officer.
So this morning, we had our 4th annual signing day. We had 45 seniors sign into full-time employment. Just some of the statistics that I did give that, you know, right now we're only in the 2nd week of May. We have 372 students out on co-op, juniors and seniors, with over 180 different employers. So I think that that's huge growth that the district should be very proud of. Our grand total last year was 375, so I reminded the employers in the audience that there was still 6 weeks left to go, so that we could break that. We talked tonight about taking 7 gold medalists to the nationals, as well as our state officer candidate, but Southeastern lucked out because within our medal count, 4 gold medalists from other competitions that other schools that was slated to go to nationals pulled out. So Southeastern had the next up students. So we will be taking a total of 12 students to nationals, which I believe is also a school record. So that's excellent. I want to give a shout out. I listed the names of all the chaperones that did go. Just like a travel abroad, that is many sleepless nights. So for the 10 faculty members that spent their entire weekend sleepless in Marlborough, I want to say thank you very much. I gave you the dates. Holly mentioned earlier before, we have our senior scholarship night next Wednesday. We have our graduation, which I gave you the full memo that went out to the staff, as well as our very thoughtful details of assigning our staff. I included our April Hawk Talk, our monthly publication from our student writing club, a list of our senior events that we have planned. We celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week last week by handing out little goodies, lunch bags, breakfast, and we do it in a fashion that we celebrate all Southeastern employees at those events, because everyone here is an educator. I also included the 267-page NEAS report in case you needed some extra reading. I'm extremely proud of the effort, again, that really did take away a time for professional development when our staff needed it most. It was an 18-month process, but they did identify things that we do know that we do well. So it was a proud moment, and it also highlighted some areas that we do know that are areas of focus. And the administrative team are working with the Federation and the teachers and staff members to already dive into those. The last 2 things that are in here, I included my recap of our 8-year attendance history for students and staff, as well as our Southeastern our grade 12 legal and protective students continued our Southeastern Smiles Week for fun and relaxation activities for students during all lunches. So that's become kind of an annual event. It comes at a time, we chose the week before our seniors and juniors dive into their AP testing and our math MCAS, which is also a high area of stress for grades 10, 11, and 12. And then in June is our STI, our science MCAS. So that's fully created. I had to nix a couple of the events like bubbles and pinatas, just because I saw that they might end up on the discipline report.
I don't see how.
And as they sent it to me, I'm reading and I'm saying tiny bubbles. And
there you go.
We can think of something else. But you know, one thing that Holly did just show you on the dashboard, so that's one thing that I'm very, very proud of. And that's something that I wanted to do when I signed on to be principal. You know, there were a few things that kind of got in my way. But what you just saw was the dashboard on behavior data. The administrative team has been working on our Lexiles, has been working on our daily grades, our student attendance, our cooperative education, who's getting hired, where are they working, what is their wage. So there's a lot of great work that can come out of all of those to act in time. And Jeff, coming from industry, like Holly alluded to, is a big learning curve, and there is so much data. And we are a data-rich school, and we always have been. But it's just been in so many different places that to organize it in a fashion that we can make on the time real thoughtful questions and decisions, and dive deeper into what the story is behind all of the assets, right down to why a student's leaving our district. He has done an amazing job. So we focused on that a lot this year in teaching and learning, which was very interesting. Like, he's like, oh my goodness, this is more than Wall Street. And I'm like, yes, so they all tell a story. And to have an industry person also recognize the level of detail that the behavior management, the administrative team, guidance brings to the table about knowing the story behind our students. Like Polly said, if you hover, you know the kids. I probably could name a lot of them on there, but we do dive deep into what the story is. And again, I think it's the thing that's not measured on accountability data, but it is the one asset that is truly amazing about the Southeastern community that I hope it never loses. So with that, I just want to thank all of you for your continued support.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Do you have any questions for her? Really great report. Thank you so much. All right. Moving on, TI Director's report. Pat.
I hate falling on it. Sorry. So tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about our dual enrollment program. I talk about it a lot, referring to it in different ways, and I just thought maybe this was a good opportunity to kind of go over the whole thing again. So we have, with the dual enrollment program, it's another way of opening vocational education to people who may have missed it in their freshman year. And I always think that, you know, when I talk to them and I'm interviewing them when they're seniors, I'm like, how are you supposed to know that this may be something you wanted to do when you were in 8th grade, you know? So. Because they'll very often say, I should have come here, or I didn't get in. So what happens with dual enrollment is they identify themselves, hopefully in their junior year, that they would be interested in going through this process. And sometime at the beginning of their senior year, their guidance counselor sends a referral form to us, and then they start the application process. So we can accept dual enrollment students in cosmetology, electricity, HVAC, and medical assisting programs. They're all evening programs that have a January start. So that's kind of why those programs are the ones that work. Students would have completed their first semester of their senior year. They have to have a GPA of 2.5 and a reference from their guidance counselor. After about the first year, I started to realize how hard it is to dig yourself out of a bad GPA. If you had a bad junior or freshman or sophomore year, that it's hard to get to that 2.5. But people could have a great year their junior year and still not be able to make that benchmark. So we've added in a calculation that takes their scores they take on the AccuPlacer, and if they performed on the AccuPlacer, they can pick up a few extra points in their GPA. So that's usually enough to kind of move most people over it. But the reality is that their most job one and most important thing is to finish high school at that point in their life, and it's a tough schedule because they come to they go to their regular sending high school during the day. Hopefully the high school adjusts their schedule so they're only carrying what they need to carry, usually an English and maybe a math course. And then if that's moved to the end of the day, that's ideal, but some schools do them virtually or sort of do a hybrid format for them. And then they come to the TI at 4:30, depending on what program they're in, and they stay until 9 or 9:30 at night. So it's a long day if you're carrying too much of a load in the high school. And we always tell them, it's like, your most important thing is to graduate high school, otherwise you're not eligible to be at the TI. So, you know, so we monitor that. They go through our regular application process. Once they're accepted, then we waive the first semester's tuition, and the second, so they come to us for the first semester, January through June, graduate from high school, get the summer off, come back. Now they can do their FAFSA form, get financial aid. They're billed for their second semester and their fees, which are usually, would be the toolkits for these programs. Their books. We bought the books and the toolkits for them, and they're using them during that time. So it's a growing program. You know, we have some programs are very popular. I put a little table in there. You can see electricity is very popular. And you know, we have contracts with several. Some towns do it one year and not another. Or, you know, some are pretty consistent as they go, but it definitely is growing, and I think it's one of my favorite programs, because I think it brings lots of opportunities to those kids who are getting near the end of high school and realizing, you know, I don't know that I want to go to college, or I might want to go to college later, but I'm not ready to take on that debt or put that burden on my family yet, or I don't know enough about myself. And I think that's the real gain, right, that I see in the kids, that they're not, you know, they know enough about themselves to be able to say, this might be a better solution for me for now. So we've had a total of 20 kids go through the program, and like I said, it's going well. We see them at graduation, and one of the best parts is that I get to go to the awards ceremonies for the sending high schools and give them a little gift bag and announce that they got a scholarship. So depending on the program, the scholarship can be between like $2,500 and $3,500. So, it's a great starting point.
And Mansfield's representing.
Mansfield does represent. When we were starting this program, the vice principal over there had just been given a mandate by the school committee to start looking at things that kids could do that maybe was not always focused on college, and she jumped in, and they have really, I mean, they send us sometimes more kids than we can handle. That's good. It's a good thing. And in that whole time, we've only lost one student who went back to their same school. So I think that's been a good thing as well. And then I put in a calendar of what's sort of going on for us for the next month or so. We have our graduation is on the high school, the TI graduation is the 12th, and the nursing graduation is going to be on the 18th. And that's the award nights, and there you go.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that. Any questions for her? If not, I'll move on to my report. I'll just make it really brief. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on this month and next. Don't forget Mamma Mia, May 16th to 18th, and then the STEP team presentation on the 23rd. You know, and then just all the regular things that we do at the end of the year for our graduating seniors. Hope to see everyone at graduation. And just two things that I wanted to mention that did come out of our our meeting in regards to the equity audit. We do want to set up a people and culture subcommittee. I told Holly that, and we're going to get working on that, and as well as and she had also mentioned this too, that, you know, one of the requests that we had was for school committee members to get more access to the data. And so, you know, hopefully over time, and just phenomenal work in terms of being able to pull reports and present data in the way that we've seen. But it's kind of a wish of ours to be able to have more access to that data. And so that's something that's going to be worked on and is a priority for the future. So I just wanted to mention that. All right, next up, Executive Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Report, and Dr. Rob.
Thank you. Just to go over a few things, we spoke a little bit about the equity audit, so I'm going to dive a little bit into HR and to athletics. And since we already talked about the equity audit, a couple of things here. Our employee recognition program, I sent out an email earlier this week. Not sure if you had seen it, but again, this is our second month of our outstanding community member awards. We had a great month, again, with responses from administrators, faculty, staff, students. Notably, this month we had an increase of our nominations from our STI student members, which was amazing, and showing overwhelming support for their evening STI members who are, again, not forgotten, but sometimes you don't get to really hear and about their great work sometimes just through as busy as we are. So this past Tuesday, we recognized Eveline Francis, our ESL paraprofessional, Katie Fuchello, which is our academic teacher, Josh Brewster, our vocational teacher, and Mark Silipino, for their great outstanding contributions to Southeastern community. So again, please vote for, we encourage everyone to vote. It's very transparent. And just like we did last month, everybody who received nominations in our community, we sent out emails to thank them and show them some of the quotes and the nice things that people are saying about them, and really try to keep that momentum and energy going. And we will do this every single month, and I think it's just a great thing that we are doing for our community. Job postings and searches have been underway. A lot of them are in motion and moving forward. Notably, I'd like to announce that for our special ed, 3 of our special ed paraprofessionals for our internal posting for our special ed teacher have accepted. So looking at upward mobility and really showing that people who come through Southeastern moving towards their pathway to becoming teachers, and some of their dreams and some of their career goals are being met, and we are part of that journey with them. So that's great to see. Our HR newsletter also went out this week. I sent that out again just to kind of re-emphasize. Our HR newsletter, which is titled Community Connections. The newsletter aims to provide Southeastern with human resource news, important updates, HR FAQs. Additionally, the newsletter will advertise our new HR open office hours, which is Wednesdays from 10 to 12. So, and members don't have to make an appointment; they can come down with open hours at that point. And then we really highlight upcoming events, and we'll spotlight monthly outstanding community members as well within this, and also really looking at ways to educate our community about matters that are HR related or employee related that sometimes we don't have enough time to do. So we try to give little blurbs and also links so that way our community can kind of continue to educate themselves and be in the know as much as possible. In athletics, this past 2 Fridays ago, we had the MSTCA, which is the Massachusetts State Track Coaches Association D3 Relay Track Meet, which was here, which we held here and hosted. The event went extremely well. Our track coaches, a lot of volunteers that we had at school really did a great job. Through our concessions, we raised $1,700 that will go reinvest back into our track program here at Southeastern, as well as our track team. By us hosting it, didn't have to pay into the fees, because you have to pay into the fees there. So it was really beneficial. It was a great event that we hosted. It went very, very well and smooth, and a lot of other schools, sending schools, were really pleased, as well as the state, and how we handled and conducted ourselves in that space. Also, this past Friday, May 3rd and 4th, last Friday, May 3rd and 4th, our athletic leadership, Mr. Dan Tripp, attended the Addressing Hate in Schools and Sports, presented by Northeastern University Center for Study of Sport and Society, which is a great segue to a lot of the issues that are happening in a lot of spaces. Our goal is to create an environment of inclusivity here, with so many different types of students from many different cultures, backgrounds, areas, It's very, very important that we are ahead of this and continuing that professional development in those spaces, just because it's just it's really a mixture of so many students in spaces that don't grow up together, and how do we create environments where we not just educate our students, but some of the things that we have implemented since this past year is also looking at our parents and how are they acclimating to sports within our community, and really building trust within one another, trust within the school and the local community, and really having good school pride and spirit as we move forward, and we're in these as we go to games and cheer on our favorite athletes. And finally, this past Friday we had our we had mentioned a little earlier, our spring dance, which was held here on campus, and our gym was completely transformed. Part of our goal is to really make the student experience at the events where there are dances, to really emphasize belonging, really, have the students really feel special. They get dressed up, you should see them, they are amazing. The way they get ready in their tuxes and gowns and other types of dress wear. There was a masquerade party. I want to thank Matt Pacheco and Andrea Tuccio for leading the event, as well as the chaperones who volunteer their time. We look forward to seeing how these events like this evolve in the future. And we have the senior prom coming up this month, but we really want to emphasize our community and the pride by really taking pride in these staples, these events that are happening for our students, because these are great memories for our students as they grow. And that's it for today.
Thank you so much for that report. Any questions for
Just one quick one.
Yeah.
We talked about getting the data that Holly used to do when she was the HR director, that data that shows promotions and people that have resigned. So, yeah, we need to, we still haven't gotten
We
it.
can go back to that,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Promotions and you said resign.
New hires,
Yeah, it's really nice.
resignations, yeah, okay.
Yeah, could we
And
get
we
that
have
for the
all-
next
we have all
meeting?
that.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Tony, for that.
Thank you, Dr. Rock. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's making me feel uncomfortable.
There's a long journey. Not at all, I'm just Rob.
All right. Next up is the report of the superintendent.
Different.
So, I talked a lot about data and behavior this evening, but I do have just a couple other things. We are continuing to receive and evaluate appeals for our admissions decisions. This was once again a very competitive admissions year, so please continue to direct. You're all very, very good about, letting me know if constituents have questions, so that I can get the questions to Christina Guardiani or Cameron Costa. So it's very important that those questions go through them, because they know what they're doing, and they're consistent with the information they give and the directions they give for next steps. I do, in addition to the People and Culture meeting, would like to circle with you, Jerson, so we can schedule a personnel subcommittee meeting in the next week or two. And then looking at upcoming events, we're going with some of our networking and cybersecurity students tomorrow to Bridgewater State University for a cybersecurity, I can't remember the actual title, event, and the Lieutenant Governor is going to be there, and so we're very excited about that. And then on Friday, our STEP team is kicking off a full day of equity and education event through DESE, that the folks who have been on the Equity in Action team here, we are going to get to go and see them. So our STEP team has developed quite the reputation in a very positive way across the state. And so we are excited to once again get to showcase how amazing they are. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Holly? Executive session today?
Not need to go into
Okay.
executive
I do
session.
have one thing to mention. MASC Division 3, which had the 70 on 70 event a couple of weeks ago. We're having a meet and greet, end of the year type thing, at the Boston Tavern in West Bridgewater on Monday evening, June 17th. It's a free dinner.
Whoa.
So anybody who wants to come, just register for it. 6 o'clock.
What was the date?
It's MASC Division 3.
No, the date.
Oh, June 17th. It's Monday evening. Please tell me to have an open budget.
All right, so I will
I'm skipping
entertain.
it.
Okay. Second? Anybody?
Second.
All right. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you so much, everybody. Very productive meeting, got a lot done.
Yes.
Ouch.